Right. Mutala is here with me. Mutala Inusa. GHOne is our court correspondent. Mutala, good morning.
Good morning.
What happened in court yesterday?
Yes, the court is busy. The court is buzzing because a lot of things are happening. But Serwaa, let me take you first to the apex court of the land, the Supreme Court. And the reason I am talking to you about the Supreme Court, you know that the whole of July has been earmarked for various activities to celebrate the Supreme Court at 150. So first, there was a courtesy call to the Amihere in Cape Coast, where a sword cutting ceremony has been done for the construction of a new multi-purpose court complex. Following from that, there was also an outreach lecture to give us some background about this whole Supreme Court at 150. And of course, you know that when you talk about the history of Ghana, you cannot leave Cape Coast out. So that venue was chosen carefully and all of that. Fast forward, we are supposed to have media engagement. And so while you'll be engaging Justice Sir Dennis Dominic Eji. And I was mentioning the names carefully because the sequence of the name of a judge, it's always very significant, and everyone in all of that. So you'll be having that engagement and all of that. But first, let me tell you about some of the things that have been happening. And so I saw you at the market with Justice Serwaa Saributri and then Abna Boache Esquire. What were you guys doing there? Director, let's have that video of Serwaa. So this is Justice Serwaa Saributri. To her right, it's lawyer Serwaa Amihere, right? And then Abna Boache Esquire. What are you guys doing there?
So, you know, it's all part of we actually went on a sensitization exercise ahead of the legal outreach, which was initially scheduled to happen this weekend, but it has been postponed to next weekend, which is the 18th of July, because the president has given the directive that this Friday and Saturday is a national cleaning day for the 7 regions that were affected by the floods. And of course, if the president has declared these 2 days a cleaning day, the judiciary is supposed to take part in it.
Absolutely.
We are all officers of the court, isn't it?
Yeah.
We are supposed to obey the president's directive. So the judicial service said that why not? Let's all do what the president is asking us to do. As a matter of fact, the market women that we want to even go and speak to, they'll be cleaning. So what's the point? But even beyond that, we need to comply.
Yes,
and so
that's a national call,
absolutely. We've had to postpone the
outreach.
legal outreach to the following week. So we have not cancelled it. So it's just being postponed to the 18th of July.
Exactly.
So we went to the Makola markets where the outreach will be happening. Makola Market, Makola Mall, and Kwasi Ejaso Market to, you know, tell them about it. And yesterday we went back there to tell them about the change in dates. Yes, so we'll bring you those videos as well as we move on.
You know one interesting thing about this video that we are showing? Because Justice Serwaa Saributri blending the language, giving that different perspective about the language, the English language, the Twi, and the Gan. So when you go there, whatever language you are very conversant in, you have your share and all of that. And that was very, very great there. And so like Serwaa said, there's an artwork. Let's move on and let's see. There's an artwork from the judiciary, which as it were communicated. And this is what we'll be doing today. Serwaa, that's you.
Yes. So today I'll be very honored to sit with Sir Dennis.
That's such a brain.
I you know, when I was in law school, I didn't have the privilege of having Sir Dennis teach me, but I read his books.
Absolutely.
He's authored about, you know,
countless
books. Yes. Countless. You know, on so many things, on constitutional law, on criminal law, on the law of evidence. So I'm truly honored, to be honest, to be sitting with Sir Dennis this morning.
And we are proud to have him in this house.
Absolutely, you know. And I know that law students, lawyers will be excited about this conversation. But I mean, if you should be interested as well. Sir Dennis is a very fine legal brain. He has risen through the ranks. He's gone through it all, and now a justice justice of the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
So I am excited about it.
Yeah, we are also excited. I'm not sure there's any law student who may not have come across him.
Of course.
Whether personally or his books.
Of course.
And remember when he was being vetted for the Supreme Court?
Yes.
He turned that particular session into a lecture. And that's how interesting Justice Sir Dennis Dominic AJ is. So at 9 a.m., you'll be sitting with Justice Dominic AJ in relation to the judiciary or the Supreme Court at 1:50 and all of that. So, Director, let's move on. And then, so what is what you were telling us about? So
yes.
now,
yes.
No
so it's been
11th.
It's been postponed to the 18th. It's not been cancelled.
Exactly.
So this weekend, we are all joining the call to clean up our environment.
Absolutely.
I know that there are quite a number of concerns about it.
Why it was cancelled?
Not even about the postponement, about the cleanup, and we'll be discussing that.
Yeah.
But it's a national call. Yes, and what I am hoping, that after the cleaning, we don't leave the rubbish by the gutters that we have cleaned. It will go back in. Even without raining, the wind, there's some people who can just be walking around and be pushing the thing back in. Yes.
They'll be kicking stuff, and before you realize, everything is gone back to...
And please, when you see someone dumping refuse into a gutter, it is criminal. It is an offense. And citizens have the right to arrest someone when they see them committing a crime.
So I ask a simple question. Who is the government?
The government is us. Yes. There's Abraham Lincoln defines government as,
of the
people, for the people, by the people. So we actually do have an obligation. If you see someone engaged in an offense, in a crime, you don't say that it is at the purview of the police.
It is not your concern.
It is not your concern.
Your
you can actually, you have there's something called citizen's arrest.
Yes.
You can arrest the person and hand them over to the police. So do not look unconcerned when someone is throwing rubbish in the gutter, because look, this flood, you might think that you're living some posh area, and so your house was not flooded. My house was not flooded, but my mom got affected. Yes. My mom's wall came down.
That's sad. My sister also got affected. Her
house was not affected, but the wall. So I mean, it's part of the house, isn't it? Because just by it's a very serious flooding
area.
Yes, and so it got affected, and her wall came down. So this affects everybody.
Everyone.
Me, if I catch you throwing refuse into the gutter, I will arrest you. I'll carry you and take you to the police station.
Those people who do that, do they ask themselves where those things were going?
They don't care. They are dirty people. They are unpatriotic.
And I think that's why
I think they are mentally unwell.
We need a reset of the mind.
Yes.
Yeah, I think
because
we need a reset
why do you wake up and decide that it is inside the gutter, which is supposed to be clean? Don't you see how gutters look outside the country? Like, they are so clean. You can actually sit there and have a conversation. In Ghana, you can't sit by a small gutter, a small drink. You end up being sick. Yeah. Please. So, if you throw rubbish in the gutter, you are mentally unwell, and you need to be checked. And you are unpatriotic.
It's true. That's the word.
Look at where we find ourselves. Look at people lost their livelihoods as a result of the floods, and it's because of things like this. And even on the day when the flooding was going on and people were suffering, there were some idiots who were still throwing rubbish. Are you sick? Are you mad?
So that's what I am. For instance, I'm very happy about the team that have been put in place to embark on this whole checks, and I hope that they would.
It's neither here nor there. I hope that at the end of the day,
no excuses. Every place that has been earmarked for demolition, I think that they should go.
Oh, that yes. This Accra needs a mayor and a minister who doesn't care.
Who doesn't care about what tomorrow look like?
Who doesn't care about votes? Who doesn't care what the people are going to say about him or her? That's the only way.
We need a radical leader.
Yep.
We need a radical leader.
Because, even after the flooding on June 29, when there were calls for demolition of houses that were built on waterways, people were like,
still defending.
So where do you want them to stay?
They should go back. It will rain again.
Then don't complain when it floods. Yes. Don't complain. You know?
It is well.
Please,
for me,
it's too early for me.
We need a mental reset for all of us to be awakened by what has just happened to us. So the legal outreach, including the floats, come back on the 18th of July, and it's a Saturday. So that's a new date in relation to that. Okay, Director, let's move on. Serwaa. Community sentencing. What's your take? Parliament passes it now. So now, persons who commit petty offenses, misdemeanors, instead of going to jail, we can just give you a portion, like from here to Nima, to be able to do some work and all of that. So I personally am happy about the fact that
I am as well. I am as well. Yesterday, I had a conversation with Justice Serwaa, and we're talking about this. I'm happy because our jails are already, choked.
Yeah.
And the country, the city is already dirty. There are people who want to engage in misdemeanors and
6 months,
petty minor offenses. Why not?
So when I meet you by the roadside, I ask you, why are you working here? Then you tell me that I committed this offense, and I'm like, okay. But when you do that, people ask you a question, you feel embarrassed about the situation. I'm not sure you go back. Again. But it's also about enforcement, how you're able to enforce.
That's because as a country, we have very beautiful laws.
Absolutely.
We have a lot of laws to cater for a lot of things, but the enforcement becomes the problem.
They are sitting in the booth
so
like that.
I really hope that it's not the usual, beautiful laws that sits in our books, and then when it comes to enforcement, people do what they want to do with it and what they like with it.
I'm not sure this one, the president will have a headache assenting to it. It'll just be a straightforward something. Yeah.
I think that it's a very good,
absolutely.
It's a good bill that has been passed, and I'm waiting for the assent.
Yeah.
And I hope that we see it
this one
as soon as possible.
This one is a law for the people. It will be a law for the people because once a community sentences you, whatever you get yourself involved in, you can do some work no matter who you are. And when you see children asking an elderly person why you are weeding or why you are clearing gutters and all of that, and you have to explain that you have done a certain act that led to you performing that particular work, I'm not sure you go back. It will help for me this time. I remember POS Foundation pushing, and then we'll engage them as well to find out why, what they think of finally that the Parliament has passed. Now the onus is on our president to have it signed. Then from this bill, Serwaa, regional tribunals. Another of the controversial situations that has been happening. Yesterday, the Attorney General was in Parliament. They tabled it for the second reading and all of that. And there's been so much reaction about this whole thing. So, Director, let's play the video and let's see the reaction. Let's hear from the reaction after the Attorney General presented the bill.
Purposes. One is to establish the jurisdiction, composition, and operation of the tribunals, what used to be known as the public tribunals in our history. Regional tribunals in our country have a history, and I want to submit, Mr. Speaker, most respectfully, that the history of regional tribunals is one that is not pleasant.
In fact, I must put on record, and all of us know, that this tribunal is not going to deal with civil matters. It's going to help in adjudication in criminal matters.
Ordinarily, the conversation around the establishment of a tribunal operationalization wouldn't have been much a cause because it is constitutionally provided, as rightly indicated in Article 142.
But to assure our colleagues opposite that we have long left the dark days behind us. We have long left the dark days behind us. And the administration where there were excesses. So be assured that not under President Mahama and not under Minister Ayene will you witness any excesses in disrespect to fundamental freedoms and rights.
With the creation of a tribunal of this nature, it will be more of duplication rather than improving institutions that we already have.
Article 142 of our Constitution says that there shall be regional tribunals. Shall. Indeed, one might even say that we have been breaching the Constitution by not having regional tribunals.
So that is it from Parliament about the regional tribunals. Yesterday, the Attorney General was there, tabled it, and you see reactions upon reactions from both the majority and the minority in all of that. So we're waiting to see what will become of this particular bill that is going through the mill, is going through the processes and all of that. People have their own reservations, and others believe that, yes, it is enshrined in the Constitution and we do need it. When it becomes when it gets to where we have to bring perspective to bear, we'll do that, Serwaa.
All right, Mutala, thank you. So what's expected to happen today?
So before I come to that, you talk about Hanan.
Oh, right, yes.
So Hanan,
yes.
You mentioned, was arrested together with the wife at some point in time. Charges were dropped, then new ones filed. Then, of course, he is going through the mill case management conference, almost concluded. The court has fixed 15th of July for the trial to begin. Then, at some point in time, he requested to travel out of the jurisdiction to seek medical attention. Then on his way at the airport, Accra International Airport, I was tempted to say Kodjo International Airport, he was arrested, and we saw the Deputy Attorney General, Dr. Mensah, on the 4th of July, posted or updated it on his Facebook. His lawyers reacted vehemently to that and believed that what the state was saying was not a true picture. Now, yesterday, they filed an application at the High Court, habeas corpus application, essentially asking the court to compel the state, BNI, and the Attorney General to produce the accused person or the man who was arrested, because they believe that he was being held in lawful custody. Now, that application was ex parte yesterday before Justice Barbara Tetechawe, the Human Rights Court 1. The court believed that the allegations that were put before her in relation to this case, the court cannot hear it ex parte. So it should come on notice. So yesterday, the court declined hearing that ex parte motion on the blind side of the Attorney General and the BNI. And what has happened now is that on Friday, the case is back for them to move it on notice. So we expect the Attorney General, the BNI, who are the respondent, to appear, and of course the lawyers and yesterday the wife represented at the Human Rights Court. So this case yesterday, the ex parte motion was not heard. The court said, I want to hear from all parties, because the order given by the High Court for him to travel, it was not the Human Rights Court that made it. It was the specialized court that made it. And so the court is not seized with the fact and all of that. So that is it with Hanan. And as my understanding is that he's been released, but I don't have that official communique yet. But that's what I've read, the sections and all of it. We'll confirm that also to you. So, Serwaa, that is it with respect to the Hanan case, the buffer stock case. And you asked me about what is happening today. So, Asharibotwe, there was some point in time where a student, Safina Mohammed, is alleged to have killed her boyfriend, who is a Canadian-based, who came to Ghana, Frank Osei, and the trial is on. She empaneled her jury last time. So today, the High Court, presided over by Justice Kizita Nako Okwashi, is expected to have the jury addressed, and the jury will be addressed by the prosecution on one side, and of course the defense lawyers on one side. Then after, the court will also, and so that is Safina and the late Frank in the video, in your picture over there. So today we expect that case to come out before the Criminal Court 5, and then the expectation is that once that is done, prosecution will put their very first witness in the witness box and all of that. Then the last one that I'll leave with you, Serwaa, is in relation to Cecilia Dapa and then the husband. So the issue about the mates, two former mates, and the rest boyfriends, ex-boyfriends, and other couple, they are before the court for stealing. The investigator is in the witness box, testifying, giving account of how the various sums of money were used to purchase properties and all of that. So that's the update I will be giving you in respect of what is happening in court today.
Thank you so much, Murtala Inusa. He's our court correspondent. Stay with us. After the break, there's more. This is GH Today.
Give me just what I need, and I can feel the whole.
You're welcome back to the show. This is GH Today. I am Serwaa Amihere. It's time for the breakfast review. I'm joined this morning by Mohammed Issa Bataglia. Did I get it right?
Very right.
Okay. He's the Honourable Member of Parliament for the Serwaa East constituency. Good morning. You're welcome to the show. We're expecting a representative from the NPP who isn't here yet, but we're going to start with the show. I hope you're well.
I'm good.
You're doing well.
I'm doing very great.
Great.
Yeah.
So we're going to, my other guest just walked in, but we're going to start with the floods.
Yeah, sure.
So after the floods, the president at a national security meeting on Wednesday, which is yesterday, said that they were reviewing the measures that had been put in place so far. Sure. Now, as there are quite a number of things that has been done. The president's announced the release of some 300 million have to be given to the flood victims and the other 150 for mitigation efforts. The finance ministry has transferred 350 million cedis to a different account, the National Disaster Management Committee.
Yeah.
And 200 million, we understand, will be used to support the flood victims, exactly, and the 150 for the mitigation efforts. First of all, please make us understand, why are the figures different? Why did the president announce 300 million, and why did the finance ministry transfer 350 million?
Well, Serwaa, let me say a very good morning to you and your wonderful team. Good morning to my good brother who just walked in. I thought I could still have part of his time. He couldn't do that. And let me also say a very good morning to Serwaa East, people of Serwaa East, and by extension, your cherished viewers. Well, to me, if you ask, I'm not sure that we have differences in terms of the figures, because the initial amount was 300 million that was proposed. But the conversation came out that more than just Accra, other areas have been affected. If they could increase it to 350. So in all, I think the amount that was approved to be released for this particular flood issue, related issue, is 350 million, of which they indicated, like you said, rightly, that 200 million Ghana cedis should go into relief items, while 150 will look into the mitigation measures that should be implemented. Yeah.
That's what came about. Well, the minority is asking for a breakdown of that amount. Have you responded? Because you're in Parliament. But before you respond to that, let me welcome Kwame Prempeh. Yeah. He's a former deputy CEO of the Public Procurement Authority and also a national organizer aspirant. Good morning. You're welcome to the show.
Good morning. Good morning.
Great.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. Honorable MP, yes.
Sure. I think that the minority's concern, as per the press conference done by Madam Patricia Piaget, borders more on the impropriety, according to them, that the release of that particular amount following an attachment on the consolidated fund, contingency fund, is unlawful. And they think that the AG has not given the right advice to the president and by extension the finance minister before the money was released. So that's what they are calling for, the head of the AG, the Attorney General. But to me, I think that is basically clearly a misplaced call to the people of Ghana and even by the president. What has happened is clearly lawful. And I think that we acted according to the laws that we set up for ourselves to be able to govern us. But I even made a point that you are a very good lawyer, and you know that the emergence of equity really will let you understand that he who comes to the court of equity must come with clean hands. And if anybody will make such a call at this time, that shouldn't be the MPP or the minority making that call. Why am I saying so? The MPP, per their own conduct, have dirtied their own hands to be able to make this call. One, I think that in this country, we realized that we decided as a people, enacted a law in 2002 that we amended in 2016. That's the Bank of Ghana Act. Now, as amended, is Act 918. As per Section 30, we indicated that Bank of Ghana should not grant overdrives, loans, advances, or even government securities to government beyond 5% of the revenues realized in the previous year, let me say fiscal year. But in 2022, because according to the report and what has happened, they say we were hit hard by economic crisis to the extent that they have to twist the arm of what? Bank of Ghana to dole out 44.5 billion Ghana cedi to support government to run the affairs of this country. Reports came out that due to that singular act, Bank of Ghana in 2022 recorded losses up to 60 billion. We're not talking about 250 million. In this even conversation of this flood, Serwaa, we were told that Garrett released $103 million for flood-related issues. In that same conversation, because they said it was a need, it was an urgent need, $65 million of that amount that was supposed to go deal with our flood issues went into COVID. I've seen a beautiful write-up from Franklin Kodjo that said that even in terms of accountability, they were only able to account $60.8 million, leaving $4.2 million that cannot be accounted for. Today, the same people who said that government inaction or the lack of alacrity of the finance ministry to release monies that would have gone to make sure that preventive measures were done brought us to this level because that resulted to the floods that we recorded in this country. When monies are released again, the same people come to tell us that the modus operandi or the procedures you follow in releasing the money is wrong, and for that somebody should resign. Sometimes you don't know where they stand. To be honest with you, I kept asking myself, what are they telling Ghanaians? Just yesterday, before we rose from Parliament, I know my good friend, Shai, the MP for Wejagwawe, he was saying that the individuals who are badly affected in his constituency are waiting patiently. Government should do well and be fast about it to be able to support the people. The same person complaining about the fact that government released monies. So I think that if it is a call, that call is completely misplaced, unnecessary, and all we should do as a people at this particular time to make sure that government acted accordingly, acted according to a situation that happened that needed urgent actions of government. And government relied on the provisions of our own laws. Even if you go to our article, you are a lawyer, you know Article 177 Clause 1 indicated how contingency funds should be used. And that clearly has been followed. Parliament gave that approval. And I think that what was done by the finance minister under the advice of the AG is on the right direction, and Ghanaians should be allowed to benefit this relief that government has released in the speed of light to make sure that an issue that is bothering all of us sitting here should be dealt with and nip in the bud. Okay, Mr. Prempeh. How do you respond to this, especially your claim for accountability and the breakdown?
Yeah, okay. Good morning once again. Good morning to the Cherries viewers and everybody in the studio, including my honorable MP from Sisala, the good people of Sisala. Yes, East. Sisala East. Yeah. Is that not where GHOne
GHOne came, Chinya came.
Okay. GHOne was a very good friend of mine. Anyway.
Why are you smiling?
It's because Chinya is a friend of the show. So
okay.
You overtook Chinya.
Yeah, I did that. I did that.
Okay. And also a very good morning to Ghanaians from His Excellency, the former Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Say good morning to every Ghanaian. I think the minority is not calling for anything crazy. It's just a matter of transparency and accountability. I've listened to my good friend here, Honorable, try to bring in other things, to justify what they've done. And I'm glad that we are now in a discussion with a lawyer, and it makes the discussion a bit easier. I'm not a lawyer, so maybe if I'm wrong, she can correct me. Not to move forward. But the point the minority is making is that it is not a matter of not telling government that the contingency fund is not accessible to them. The fact that we are pointing to is that there is a legal matter on that fund which is now frozen. So if there is an emergency or is an urgency to take funds from that money, from that, took money from that funds. It's a matter of going back to the court, temporarily lift, the freeze, and then you can, access that fund. It's as simple as that. And due to the urgency of the matter, I don't think they would have taken even more than 1 day, to get it done. And there's also some rumors. I mean, this has not been confirmed yet. That when the Attorney General tried to access the funds, it was blocked by BOG. So they found another way, which we don't know.
If there are rumors and they have not been confirmed, why are you bringing it up?
But that's what I'm saying. So that is the reason why the minority has come out that, be open, be transparent. How was that money assessed? Because if there was a freeze on that account, how were you able to assess it? Come clean. And if indeed there was a freeze on that account, which was not lifted by any court, and then the government still assesses it, then there's a breach of law here that we have to look at. And that is what the minority, is talking about. Now, coming back to that 103?
103 million.
103 million that was assessed by the then government, for various activities. When you are doing a World Bank project, there are something that we all know we call component of a project. And for this Garrett project, there were 5 components.
Okay.
You see, combating flood is not just the silting drains. There are various activities that need to be done to ensure that at least we reduce the risks of flood. Apart from the silting and dredging, we also have to ensure that we manage our solid waste, because that has been one of the big issues of Ghana, especially in Accra here, where the waste are not managed well, so they find their way into the gutters, and then they choke, the drainage. So no matter how well your drainage is, if they are constantly being filled with solid waste, you will still come back to, GHOne, as we say, is cost 90, So part of it is not just the silting, but also, solid management, solid waste management is also part of it. It's also training, of those that are involved. It's also part of it. And the 5th one, is something that they call, I think, is a critical use or for agencies, for country emergencies when it appears. So when COVID came, right, the projects give the rights to government to be able to access this money to solve critical national emergencies. And that is what was done. And if you remember correctly, the project was initially a $200 million project. Now, this money was accessed, to cater for COVID. That was a $65 million, dollars. Now, after COVID also delayed, the progress of the project and all that. So after COVID, government then went back, and sat on the table with the World Bank and said, look, we had the plans to do this project, A, B, C, D, and complete it by 2025. Nobody has predicted that COVID will happen. Excuse me, let me take some water.
Sure, sorry.
I had a bit of a dry throat.
Sorry.
Okay.
The contract or when the agreement was being done in 2020. So government said that, hey, we've used some of the money, for COVID. The project has delayed considerably. So now let's extend the project to 2027 and let's make additional funding available so that we'll be able to complete it on time. And that is the reason why the 150 million was added to the project, right? So it is not the case that government has squandered, the Garrett money and used it for...
But how do you justify or defend or ask for accountability credibly when you are defending using just about 10% of the actual money that was meant for preventing flood? You used, out of the 103.8 million, you used just about 10.9%, which is about $11 million for the actual flooding. So the other 4 things that you mentioned, which you have only mentioned 2, by the way, because you said it's a 5 components.
It was 5. I've mentioned 3. I've actually added 4.
Really? I remember.
So I've mentioned the
the
drainage
dredging.
and the dredging and all that.
And then you said the other 4.
Yes, I've mentioned the solid waste management. I've mentioned training, and let's say human resource, preparation.
That's 3.
That's the 3.
And
then you have the project management. That's 4.
So training and project management is different.
Yes.
And there's So you said dredging, human resource management. So all those things took up the other chunk of the money, and you use just 10% for the actual flooding problem. They say that you have no right to come and be asking for accountability because you didn't even manage the situation well. If you did, we probably won't be here.
Let's look at it in the context of the project. Now, when you are starting a project, right, you need to do feasibility studies. You need to do designs. These are all consultancy that comes in. So a big chunk of the money has been spent on these activities. Now, these activities are necessary before you can start the actual construction. And mind you, before we left office, we had committed $85 million of this amount for the construction of several drainages across Accra. And these contracts had already been given out. So it was a matter of execution of these contracts that had already been given out. This is not an event. And like I said, prevention of flood is not a one activity. There are several activities that must happen. Now, that's right up by Franklin Kodjo. I don't know where he got his sources from, the figures is right, but in terms of how the allocation was done, it's completely wrong.
But there's no refutation to that.
And if you look at, you can go back to the audited account of Garrett for 2025, and you see that so-called training and whatever that Franklin Kodjo was saying is probably false. It's nowhere in the document. The World Bank never mentioned that 22 million was spent on training. It was never mentioned in any World Bank document.
So how much was spent on training?
I don't know how much was spent on training. Okay. The World Bank has not come out and said this much was spent on training.
Maybe the World Bank gave us a bulk report. Where he managed
Where did he get his data from?
Maybe then you have to find out from him. He wouldn't disclose.
No, we are sitting here. You are an honorable member of parliament. Let me finish. Let me finish.
Yeah.
You are an honorable member of parliament.
Yes, of course.
Right?
Yes.
Everything that we do in this country ends up with you in parliament. And you are sitting here telling me that I should go and ask Franklin Kodjo where he gets
but you are just challenging what he's doing.
Because it's false.
He's saying something against you.
No, he's not saying something against me.
That's what
I have referred to a document. That in that document there's nowhere that states.
Yes, so that
document is an official document of the Garrett project.
Yeah, but you were a member of the government. You should know, especially in sites that you seem to be on top of your stuff. So if you are discounting how much was used for training, you should tell us how much was used for training.
And I am telling you that in the official document, it is not stated here that this much was used for training, but there is no way that 22 million was used for training. You have items, you have line items.
You find out, I think so.
No, but I think as a member of parliament, you should find out. You can't. You have a member of parliament here.
I respect and agree to what he says.
That's fair, but I expect you to also know.
No, but even what he's saying, he's shifting responsibility here. You have expended that money.
I have referred to an official document from the project.
The official document did not break it down to the way he broke it down. That's what we are talking about.
No.
That he specifically mentioned figures.
The official document.
And even said 1.6 million was used for vehicles. He indicated. The consultancy was about 9 million. He indicated.
So we are sitting here. We are sitting here using figures by Franklin Kodjo as facts. Is that what we are doing?
So have we not used figures by Franklin Kodjo as facts before?
I can refer to Franklin Kodjo's anything, but it's not fact. No. Okay. I am referring to an official document.
So you refer to it when it's convenient
for
you?
No, I've never referred to Franklin Kodjo's statement or anything when it's convenient to me.
So he quoting the 120
let me finish.
Let him finish.
If Franklin Kodjo quotes something and I want to reuse it, I will find out the source. Know the source before I use it. I have never gone anywhere and quoted Franklin Kodjo as my source. Never.
Okay, but what I'm asking
is, what I'm saying is that
Franklin Kodjo is wrong.
Yes.
If you didn't spend over 20 million on training,
but is it
how much did you spend on training? I think that we need to, because he who comes to equity must come with clean hands. You want accountability,
yes.
But they say that you expended that money. Let's break this down. Let's break this down.
Okay.
5 components of a project, $103.8 million, right? And you spend just about $11.9 $9 million.
That is not true. That is not true.
That's also not true.
Again.
But
Again,
if I ask you,
what I'm saying is not true.
Spent on the drain,
what I'm saying is not true.
You say you don't have it.
Let me
say it's not true.
What I'm saying is that the prevention of flood is what the project is about. The project is not only about drainage.
That's fair.
Get that very correct. So the money that was spent, right? So if you take the 65 million that was used for COVID, if you take that out, the rest of the money that was spent.
So out of the 103 million, you used 65 for COVID.
Yes, that is clear. That is, I think, publicly available, and nobody has disputed that fact.
Okay.
It's clear. And I've told you why it was used. And the reason why we had the right, and in discussion with World Bank, it was used because it was part of the project from the onset. That's how the project was designed. Right. Now, the rest of the money, right, part of it is for designs. Part of it is for feasibility studies. Now, these are all things that contribute for us to be able to start the work of the actual, construction of the drainage. So if you tell me that only 11% was used for drainage, yes, but not for flood prevention because you have to design.
So there was nothing about flood prevention that was done?
The whole project is for flood prevention.
Including training
including solid waste management. Yes. If you don't manage a project, how can you execute a project?
Okay.
You get where I'm coming from. So it is probably false and deceit to say that only 10% or so was used for flood prevention. That is not true. The whole project is to help us prevent, reduce the risks of flooding. So that's what I'm saying. That narrative by Franklin Kodjo is probably false.
The argument is that the only 10% was used for actual flood prevention.
What is actual? What is actual?
You have just said you broke it down yourself that there was
that's what I'm saying. What is actual?
And dredging.
There is $85 million contract that have already been given out for us to contract. When they came to power, it was already given out. And that is what they delayed. And that is why the contractors have left, site. That is where we should be looking at.
No.
Governance is the continuum.
Exactly.
If you come to meet something, you continue. And the World Bank themselves have come out. You see, if it was between MPP and NDC, we can sit here and discuss. But there's a third party who also have, they have their credibility to protect. I don't think if MPP had mismanaged that, garage project, the World Bank would have come out with a report and say it is a delayance of releasing of funds that is delaying the whole project. No. So this is not about NDC, MPP thing. There's a third party involved. There's a World Bank involved. There's a project involved that have come out with a report that is disputing the palpable lies of the NDC. Which is money was mismanaged. It is never true.
Okay.
It is never the case. And there are documents and there are reports to back it. And the World Bank is backing the MPP on this one.
No.
Okay, let me come to you, Honorable MP. So the president yesterday at the National Security meeting said they were reviewing measures taken so far.
Okay.
What review is being done? Who is doing it? And what exactly is being done?
Great. Are we done with what we were on?
Garrett? Yes. I mean, everything is about the flood. Okay. So if you want to talk about Garrett, you can
say. Nobody's stopping you.
My brother has found it very difficult to even prove to me that he has been part of the system. They are the people who expended the money. World Bank will not come and be telling Ghanaians that MPP or the previous administration is wrong. They will put out issues for us to do analysis. Individuals will dig into those issues and bring out what they know about it. And I am sure today you are contesting who Franklin Kodjo is in the affairs of this country. Same way like a lawyer Serwaa sitting down here. When she intercepted a document, most likely they would not disclose to us how they're able to do it. But this is somebody who came out with specific figures relating to how monies were used, related to a particular program, where we believe that training alone took about $22 million. And you are giving us that, there's more to it than just what. We agree to that. Based on what we've seen and the report that came out from him, that at every $10 that was given out, only $1 went into the actual project. $9 went elsewhere, either than what it was intended for. Based on that, the Minister of Finance should be able to track cautiously and make sure that physical prudence is done before any further expenditure of that money. We know that.
So wait, before you continue,
was
training part of the project?
But that's
Any
what
question? No, answer yes or no.
Definitely there will be training.
Was consulting part of the project? Yes or no?
It will be part of.
Was design part of the project? Yes or no? Was feasibility test part of the project? Yes
Exactly.
Or no?
But
Why are you telling me the money was not spent for what the project was intended for?
That is what I'm telling you. That
No.
Quantum,
Why are you telling us,
quantum,
the Ghanaians,
we are not
that
looking at
what
the
was
quantum.
in the project, what was from the onset, from day one,
we are looking at the
that the
quantum.
money was used for? You are sitting here telling Ghanaians,
if 22
what
million,
if you go into the project,
let me tell you,
everything is there.
22 million
There have been operational costs. There have been trainings. There have been designs.
Out of
There have
103.
been, and you come and sit here, it was used for nothing.
Out of 103, if you
know
the
believe,
situation we are facing,
let me tell you something.
We spent 22 million
And
to train.
I'm telling you, this is a project I was involved in.
Which is?
The Ghana Electronic Procurement System. Yeah. There was 1.5 million available for the project to continue. When NDC came, they stopped the project. The contractor, the developer, had not been paid for 2 years because NDC has stopped the project.
No, we are not even up to 2 years.
What
I'm telling you,
when you should be talking
about
about
not even up to 2 years.
What I'm saying is that the stoppage
is not even up to 2 years.
Wait.
Please
The stoppage is that.
yes.
What I'm saying is that the stoppage of projects is not only even limited to the current project. We have the secondary city project, where we were constructing market roads all across the municipalities of Ghana. The money has been made available by World Bank. NDC came, they stopped the project. Now all the projects are now come to a standstill. Contractors have left side. Now what it means is that when we reinitiate the project again, it's going to increase the cost because they have to remobilize to come back on site. So the stoppage of project is not even only limited to Gary. You've come in instead of continuing with what was done.
We cannot just continue.
Please let him land.
I think he's been landing
and 18 solid months. So whatever investigation that you were doing, you have not completed.
Are you done now? Are you done? They brought a report to Parliament indicating how mismanagement went on with the relation to roads. To an amount of close to 167 million Ghana cedi, seen as overblated. So you think that when we just
what have you done about it?
That's what I'm saying. So it's been stopped.
How long?
Those payments have been stopped.
You have only 2 years left.
It's work's not
so
going on.
Are you going?
No, are we not going on with work? Is Big Push not working? Are they not constructing?
I'm talking about specific.
No, I'm also telling you that they've moved. When you said
so you are stopping those projects and you are going on with Big Push.
We are doing a lot.
So you have stopped those projects.
No, the projects that we have not gotten clarity on, we will stop it.
So for your entire term, you will not continue.
The project that we
the
have
World
not
Bank
gotten
is
clarity
there.
on.
Project documents
you
are
asked me
there.
a question, so you also repeat it.
No, because you are not answering it.
No, I'm answering you, and I'm telling you that we will not jump into what you've just presented to us because the examples we saw.
We didn't present to you.
No,
we have the World Bank project. That will present to you.
Okay, let's make progress. Honorable, please answer my question.
Okay.
The review.
Yeah, the review. I think that the president is calling on us to be able to have a holistic view of what we are faced with. And I'm sure you know, proud to even now, we have about a committee set, about our 3 or 5 member committee that's led by Standogbe. Currently, based on the flood that happened, they also set up a committee.
What did that committee do?
They looked into many other issues. You know, before even the
because
flood,
we have not publicly seen any reports or any work that has been done.
No, the point is that they did not publish what they have done because they've taken the review, but we also know within the same process.
So what were their findings?
Because as part of their work was to make sure that structures on waterways should be demolished. And we all know in this country, in 2025 up to now, Ramsar Shas and other places that they've done demolition and other things. So somebody even said that, but for their interventions to the issue could have been worse.
Really?
It could have been worse. Yes, it could have been worse.
But another committee has also been set up.
Yes, because we were hit by a flood based on the volumes of water we got in June. That is unprecedented. Because the normal rainfall that we'll get in June will be between 160 millimeters to 230. This particular year, 2026, we had 593 millimeters of volumes of water based on climate change issues. And the president categorized clearly about 3 issues that are affecting this. We are having climate issues. We are having human behavior and conduct. We are also having engineering lapses. And that's a fact. Because I was making a point yesterday to somebody that just go back and look at the space at which we sit on in Accra, Greater Accra. The last space that we occupy is just about 3,245 square kilometers. As at 1960, the population of Accra was just 541,000. Today, as I sit in your and I'm talking to you, if you go and check, we are about 6.28 million. That's about 1/5 of the whole Ghana's population. So, by virtue of the fact that the urbanization has happened here so much in Accra, with a small land space, the other river sources that would have served as a buffer to carry water from the Akwapim Ridge, that is towards the north, to the southern, as well as the Gulf of Guinea, clearly has been narrowed toward gutters. And even our conduct as per human beings also further narrowed the spaces in the gutters we created. And that's what the president is saying, that no, let's now come and look at the entire issue. See how we can come out of it, because what we've been faced with this particular year, it's been unprecedented. But because we have issues about climate issues, change. Then the president is also saying that, yes, we are going to let's begin to look at it politically and passionately. Where we think that people have blocked waterways, let's clear ways. Where we think that our systems are not good, let's
But do we have political will to do that?
But
I have witnessed successive governments, different governments try to even get rid of, traders who ply the trade by the road. We get with it. So the first 2-3 days, you find the mod of the street. When it's close to election, that's what there, and you leave them because you're not ready to do this.
I am sure the sentiment was raised by the president in his speech. Like when he started to activate of the Ghanaian sector.
So what's the way forward?
And the way forward is now we've been hit by a situation that we think that we should all resolve as a people to fight it one step for all. And that's what the president is saying. He is basically telling us that let's hit the metal when it's hot to shape the way we want. And that's what is happening. And I think that all Ghanaians are agreeing to the fact that not until we say no to indiscipline, not until we say no to our own conduct that further narrows our water paths, the water will always cause havoc to us. And as such, like people are willing. That's why the president declared 2 days for us to go out there and do the cleaning. In doing the cleaning, it's not just taking off the evidence from the gutters or cleaning around the banks, but also making sure that structures that are not supposed to be where they are being erected should be brought down and so that everything is clear. So the president is telling every Ghanaian that yes, time has come. We have been in this situation. Happy that today we are going to take great position. And the only person to do this is the president, and I'm sure he's going to get that executed clearly.
Okay, but before I come to you, I mean, Friday, Saturday, June 10 and 11, July 10 and 11 have been cleared.
Sure.
National Cleaning Day for the 7 regions that were affected.
Sure.
This will be the first time.
No.
You have lived in this country long enough to know that we've had cleaning days.
Yeah.
We've had this, different governments. What makes this one so different, and how are we sure that after this one we won't have the problem that we faced again?
No, this one is actually to deal with the current challenge we are faced with. That's what it is.
So every time we wait, something happens, and then we're always doing this. Are we not tired as
Are you
people?
decoupling us from the active reason? That's who we are as people. But
So must we continue like that?
That's the leadership that is being shown the way. You see, I am telling you that we cannot run away from the fact that something happened. Something happened and we must deal with that issue. Dealing with that issue is also pragmatic measures. The measures going forward will be that, henceforth, let's stop it from here. But this call to come up for 2 days is to make sure that what we have suffered now should be cleared. Beyond that, we will not allow further things to happen that will also bring us back to where we were before. And that's what the president is focusing on. So, and you cannot say, I know very well, we've seen people like you talk, I always use Oko Vanderpoel as an example, to the extent that when he tried creating the railways and everything, making sure that the cities of Accra are clean, we've seen women that will come together and cry over days to let them know they are not being able to feed their families. Today, the president is saying that all those cries that are not situated on the laws of this country will not be tolerated. How do we go about it? First, we are faced with a challenge. The challenge is here with us. What can we do immediately? What can we do midterm? What can we do long term? So we are looking at the short-term measures now. Let's clean the gutters. Let's make sure our environment is clean. If there's another rain, then the waters will be able to flow freely to what? To the Gulf of Guinea. But going forward, are we going to permit people to go back to where we were before? No. And I think that communication has been very clear. And the time is ripe for us to be able to take those actions. No matter who we are supposed to bend the metal by making it very hot. And that's what it is. So to me, I think that is the time, and the president has given the way. Let's embrace this call. Let's do the cleaning. Let's henceforth, the measures that we put in place to make sure that we don't get back to where we were before, also be implemented strongly.
Okay, Mr. Prempeh.
Thank you, Serwaa, once again. You see, this NDC government, and indeed the president himself and most of his appointees, are more interested in settings.
Are they?
More interested in showmanship, more interested in, what will make the headlines, but less interested in what will actually work on the grounds, right? If you all remember, somewhere in 2013, thereabout, the government, that was the same president back then, wanted to initiate a project called the Kunti Project, right? And that was a very comprehensive project. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that was even about $600 million thereabout. And they were not able to proceed with it for various reasons, which we don't have time to go into that. But that project never materialized. Fast forward a couple of years later, we had the June 3rd disaster. Right? Again, failing to act on time will lead to a disaster, in the future. So when Nana Akufo-Addo took over with His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo with His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. They said, no, we can't, sit aloof and just wait for something to happen again. So right from the onset, the initiation to begin a new project that will comprehensively reduce the risk. And let me emphasize on reduce the risk, because it is very difficult to stop flooding altogether. Even in some of the advanced world, there can be a year that it will rain heavily, like it has done this year, and it will still flood. But you have to reduce the risk of flooding. And even when it floods, it shouldn't be so, chaotic, and it shouldn't cause so much havoc. And that project materialized, or that initiation materialized into Garrett. Mind you, there was no major flood for the years leading to Garrett. That is a government that thinks ahead. That is a government that does not wait for something to happen and hurriedly, sit in a helicopter, not even set grounds to talk to people, and the following day wear white when people are mourning, go and give Thanksgiving. That is not a government that thinks ahead.
There was a national day for prayer that had already been
really?
Announced. So
really? So changes could not be made?
Okay,
we
that's what
couldn't
you
change
wanted.
it to National Mourning Day? So when disaster happens, this 350 million was not allocated for this flood management, was it? But when it happened, there's a need to find money to get it done. So you can't tell me something has been planned ahead because when there's a disaster, you must still go ahead and wear white and go and, praise God, go and when people are mourning at that particular moment. It's an insensitive government. It's not a government that thinks ahead or think of the people. Now, you have come into office. Somebody has put together this comprehensive project to reduce the risk. The person have awarded contracts for 9 drainage initiatives in Accra here, totaling about $81 million. Before you came, that is where the 11 million had already been used. Those 9 projects. So by the time you were leaving office, on the 7th of January 2025, that 11 million that they are still mentioning had already been spent on these 9 projects. So from when you took over till now, you have done nothing. And you tell me you are investigating. And this is what has happened again. The NDC's...
He says that the anti-flood task force chaired by the deputy
I'm talking
chief of
about the
staff.
Projects. Those projects, they are touting that we spent only 11%.
You are still on the...
No, but I'm making a point.
It's 11.4.
Yeah, 11.4. Even
The
with
point
that,
I am
within the
making...
same period of our... Sorry. We spent about $30 million.
The point...
We spent $30 million compared to you.
The point I am making is that a government that thinks of the people, that thinks ahead, that is not reactionary but proactive, has put together this solid project to reduce the risk, of flooding in Accra. What have you done with it? Okay. When you came, you swept the entire money that was available to the project in January 2025. They swept the entire money that was available for the project. The project came to a halt because there was zero in their account. It took you over 1 year to release some of the money back to the project. Now, we are sitting here, and I'm not saying we shouldn't do the cleaning. It's very good. Like he's saying, it has happened. So we must take action. But the very thing that will prevent these things in the future, they are not taking action on it. We have to expedite the project. And again, this is not an MPP speaking. This is the World Bank speaking. That because of the delay in disbursement, that is why the projects have come to a halt. And there are sites that when we were leaving office, there were contractors there. And we go there now, contractors are offside because they have not been paid. So, Serwaa, if a government that thinks of the people, thinks ahead. Yes, we will join and I think I will tell every Ghanaian to join the 2-day cleaning. It's very, very necessary because we are where we are here at the moment. But we have to expedite the Gary project and ensure that we reduce the risk of flood in the future. That is what a responsible government must do. And not all these rhetorics and all these excuses and all these, somebody has taken this, somebody has taken that. And up to now, you have not been able to point to anybody. But for 18 to 19 months, you said you are investigating. Investigating who? If me, Kwame, sitting here, you think I've taken something, come. Take me on. If you think somebody who was responsible, please do.
You make it look as if nothing is happening, right?
What is happening in terms of the Gary project? What is happening?
Meanwhile, you are complaining at the other end.
No, we are talking about the Gary project here. What is happening? Who has been indicted of anything? The World Bank has released its project and its findings. Unless you say you don't believe the World Bank anymore. That's also a different, you can go. You can say, oh, we don't have any trust in the World Bank. The person that initiated the project, that have all the reports up to now, if you say you don't believe the World Bank, that is up to you. But if we all believe, if Ghanaians watching this morning believe that the World Bank is credible, who should we listen to? The people that told us to look up, but actually we should have looked down? The president that told us in opposition that the flood was only a governance and engineering problem and now telling us is also indiscipline problem. Is that what we should listen to? Those that say something in opposition and when they are given the mandate to do it, those that said they were going to pay cocoa farmers 6,000, they were given the mandate, they've reduced it and have not even paid them. Those that said they were going to pay teachers, they were going to do automatic posting, and up to now it hasn't happened. Teachers who are afraid has not even been paid. Is that who we should listen to above the World Bank?
Okay. Now, in wrapping up on the flood, so this 2-day cleaning exercise, which is happening on Friday and Saturday, we understand that Zoomlion has pledged its support. But my fundamental question is, the president in its cleanup statement said that this problem we are facing with the floods is as a result of indiscriminate littering and, plastic pollution. Mm-hmm. He had also said in London in May, somewhere in May, that our flooding problem is an issue of indiscipline. The president's own data shows that comparing June 2024 and June 2026, the amount of rainfall has considerably increased, almost 4 times what we saw in 2024, to about 333 millimeters or so. So the question is that the flooding problem that we have, is it a matter of indiscipline? Is it a structural problem? Or is it a climate problem? But let me speak to the Zoomlion correspondent first. Morgan Akwa is the Governmental Affairs Manager at Zoomlion. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Akwa.
Thank you for having me.
Mr. Akwa, what exactly will GHOne be bringing on board? And while you answer that, I would also want you to answer this question for me that I just posed to my guests on what really the problem is.
Okay, so which one should I answer first?
The GHOne question first.
Okay, so we all heard the pronouncements from the presidency that there's going to be 2-day cleanup exercise, and it's the aftermath of the rains and the flooding that happened a week ago. So GHOne, being the giant in waste management in Ghana and in Africa as we speak, we cannot sit down unconcerned. And we all know that in terms of infrastructure, GHOne leads, or we are the company that holds most of the infrastructure in waste management. Talk of the landfill site, talk of the transfer station and the recycling plant. So the executive chairman of the GHOne group of companies agreed and has accepted to work hand in hand with the government. So we are giving our support, full equipment. We are bringing on board over 20 excavators, tipper trucks, bulldozers, front-end loaders, compaction trucks, skip trucks, to help haul the waste from the various communities to the transfer stations. And let me also mention that we have opened 5 transfer stations to aid the collection. The reason for the transfer station is that we need to reduce the turnaround time. Those going as far as Serwaa, Adepa, to go and dump. If we allow them to go to that distance and come back, by the time they come back, the day is already gone. So we have opened 5 transfer stations, one at Chimota, we would have one at Peshi, one at Ashaman, Pantine, then I think Malam, yes. So that those MMDAs around there can take their waste directly to those places. Then we'll cut them from there with the long trailers to the appropriate site. So in brief, this is what GHOne Ghana Limited is doing to support the nationwide cleanup exercise this Friday and Saturday.
All right. Now, what is the problem that we have with our flooding? Is it a problem of indiscipline? Is it a structural problem? Or is it a climate problem from where you sit with all the work that GHOne does in this country?
I would say that it is, the problem is because of one particular thing. But we all know that indiscipline is key. And when we come down of the indiscipline, then we'll talk about people building on waterways. And one key problem that we face in our country is indiscriminate dumping and the cancellation of the daily sweeping that was done. We'll call it the YEA sweeping. You know that these ladies, these YEA guys, they were sweeping constantly every day and it was being collected. And for a year now, that is no more there. So that is a problem. And one key problem is the fact that we accepted the Abubuyas into the system, but there was no arrangement as to the end point for the Abubuyas. So people are using Abubuya and we feel that they are doing so well. They are picking the waste from our houses. But the question is, when they pick the waste from your house, where do they take it to? So most of these people are dumping in waterways. These people are dumping at in the median. They are dumping indiscriminately. So when it rains, all these waste are washed into the drains and it blocks and water would always find its way. You understand? So that is the cause of, and it is because of these Abubuya, that's why we have opened the transfer stations. So that when they pick up the waste, they have a place to send it to. But if the distance is far, they will wait midnight, dump it anywhere. So these are the challenges. These are because the rain, it will rain. Definitely flooding will come. I was telling somebody yesterday that I saw the flooding in London. The water was so clean. And just after the rains, after 30 minutes, everything went off. But look at the flooding that we had in Ghana. Full of debris. You understand?
Thank
so
you very
some people,
much.
yes.
Thank you for speaking with us. Morgan Akwa is the Governmental Affairs Manager for GHOne, back here in the studio with the Member of Parliament for Sisala East and also former Deputy CEO of the PPA and National Organizer Aspirant of the NPP. So, yes, I want you to answer that question. And while you answer it, then, because the GHOne officer says there's a problem of indiscipline, there's a structural problem, probably there might be a climate problem. Yes. How does the sweeping or the cleaning then present or offer the solution? Or is just some photo opportunity?
No.
Like he said that the NDC likes settings.
No, you say, they've coined a term that is not benefiting them. That's what they are doing. And let me say thank you to GHOne and the entire team. I think that's an act of patriotism to make sure that they support. We've experienced that some time ago from Ibrahim Mama when he gave technical support to government to be able to dredge the Odo River. What he's saying here, I think that the president made it clear that he noted 3 solid issues: indiscipline, climate change, and engineering issue. And he said that today the president is blaming it on indiscipline. He forgot that even somewhere in Canada, President Akufo-Addo then indicated that he's tired of using Ghana's money to fund what? Indiscipline. In relation to flood matters. You conveniently remember that there was a project called Contine where you forgot that between 2021 and 2024, they carried President Nana Akufo-Addo to what? Odo area and made us believe that they were going to transform the place into a tourist center. We are talking about a government that remembers the people. Here, it's not even just a man-made flood at Akosombo that affected the entire community. We saw what in the reactions of the president then. Today, what I say, that because somebody went to walk in the mud, supported by heavily built 2 men.
I didn't mention it.
That's what you are saying.
I didn't mention it.
Because somebody went and walked in the mud, supported by heavily, he couldn't even support himself walking in the mud. How can he support those people who are suffering?
Oh, you want to go that time?
No, that's what you are saying.
You are making it talk about the regional minister.
You are making
let's not make
you are making it look as if the president is flying around instead of. That's what you are saying.
I said instead of being on the ground.
And I'm telling you, the one who was on the ground was supported
Alhaji
by.
Bawumia was not the only person on the ground.
I'm telling you, the one who was on the ground was supported by able-built men who couldn't even walk on his own. You didn't see the video. Whilst he was walking, they were calling him one village, one down. Ghanaians are wide awake. And so back to your question. I think that the conversation here has been to mitigate. Everybody believes that flood will always occur, especially based on the quantums of water we had this particular season. And we are saying that measures that will mitigate flooding, like he said, in London it flooded, but within a split of time it went. In New York we saw those ones. Even Dubai, that is what created. Flooding happened. But what are we doing to make sure that the impact is mitigated? That's what we are talking about. So to start what is even do the little things. Cleaning, making sure our gutters can flow. When there's water, the water can flow. Because water will definitely flow. If you block it, it will go to where you don't desire. And that's what we are saying. And I made a point that if you are working around the gutter there, and your boy cleans your office or your workshop and goes to dump the refuse in the gutter, it will bounce back to you when it rains. So that's what basically we are saying. That let's first clean the gutters. Let's make sure that when water drops, water is able to flow freely to the sea or the ocean. That's what we are talking about. Beyond that, there are also structures that are built on waterways that has further narrowed the movement of water. We will take steps to make sure that those things are brought down and cleared. Then fast forward, we will not allow, people are even suggesting that Accra should begin to look at vertical development, where they believe that instead of having, you can have vertical buildings where a lot of apartments will be put up to make sure that people can conserve with small land, a lot of people can stay on, so that we can create much more better drains for our city. So these are all the engineering things that we are looking at. So it just goes beyond cleaning, but also making sure that we have a futuristic, pragmatic plan that will make sure that we mitigate this to the barest minimum. But floods will always happen. Floods will happen. I don't even want to talk about what happens at the northern sector. It's just because it doesn't affect homes, but farms. Like year on year, we get Bakari Dam being spilled, and it affects what? People around the low belt, that's around Upper East. That brought about the conversation, why can't we build up the Kwalugu Dam to collect water when it's being flown, so that they can use it for dry season farming. We saw the territories in this country where about $12 million went, but nothing happened. We saw all that. So trust me, the right man has come to make sure that things happen the right way. And that's President John Dramani Mahama. He has given the way, and everybody's coming. I also want to commend my brother by saying that let's come out for the clean, let's get it done. I have stayed in Tesano, and I've seen sometimes when it's raining, people can run from the high hills to come and dump their refuse in the Odo gutter. It's been happening. Even currently, while this is happening, we've seen videos around where people think that they can only offload their garbage in the gutters. It's there. So the indiscipline is part of us. And at a point, I remember somewhere between 2013 and 2016, Zoom Lion even audaciously brought our rubbish containers and around the city, where we even have people we have to point them because people will come and remove them and go and be fetching water with it. It's happened in this country.
Okay, let's move on. So the in line with the flooding, I mean, because this whole problem started with the announcement of the release of some 300 million. Sure. The minority is now asking for the resignation or immediate sacking of the Attorney General. I want us to touch on it very, very, very quickly before we
so
look
I think we are done with this.
No, but
I don't know. Maybe she come from a different angle.
No. So the sacking of the
I told you it was a
General.
call to nowhere. Or if you want to see something.
No, but they are legitimate concerns that were raised by the minority, and I want you to answer that for me. So. The minority's concern is that the announcement that was made by the president was for the money to be drawn from the contingency fund.
Yes.
Now, there's a court order on that because there's a Ganeshi order on that account, meaning money cannot be withdrawn from that account. So if your argument, which is the majority's argument, is that the money was withdrawn from the contingency vote and you had already sought permission from Parliament to go into the contingency fund. If that was not happening, why didn't you come back to them to inform them? I get your argument that the contingency vote is a pre-approved fund from the Appropriation Act. But why didn't you just go back to them? Does it not raise questions of accountability, to Parliament and all that?
You see this thing. You see, you clearly get our argument. I can see your legal mind working here, but you also want to appreciate their politics.
No, I have said that they are legitimate concerns.
I can see a legal mind working here. He understands.
Please answer the question. You answer the question.
Answer. The point is that we are saying that no, we all think that we've been hit hard by an agent matter. Fortunately, per our own structural arrangement, we have contingency fund and contingency vault. One, there's funds in the vault that can be accessed based on the prior approval of Parliament. That has been done. So we've touched it. The people who are saying that we are delaying in releasing funds, that is causing flood, are the same people complaining that funds have been released hurriedly without going through the right process. And that's why I started by telling you what they themselves have done. That even further swell their hands so that they cannot talk about it. I started by making that clear maxim of equity, that he who comes to the court of equity must come with clean hands. And I don't think they should be the advisors of this particular government because their life that they chose previously didn't merit that. And I think that that's all to say. Government acted lawfully. Government acted with the emergency that is demanded, and the agency that is demanded, and clearly so, without infringing upon any law. If they want to be sacking people, we were here in this country when COVID hit. Somebody imported vaccines for COVID. Before Parliament, the person said that because of the agency of the issue, he was confused that he couldn't even think well. It slided in this country. Those who are complaining that monies were released fast are the people saying that their people are waiting patiently for the money. They should bring the money. So where do they stand? Once again, right things happening and politics at play. And normally when it becomes this kind of politics that is very, very infamous, they push my own mother there, Madam Patricia Piaget. She goes to say those things, knowing very well that they are unfounded, they have no basis, there's nothing to act on. And the president shouldn't waste his time, or Parliament shouldn't waste their time listening to minority on this particular issue. I think that is much ado about nothing.
Honorable, I think that comment about your colleague, Honorable Patricia, I think it's not a fair comment.
No, I say my mom.
No, but you say if this kind of thing we push her. I mean, come on. I mean,
it's politics.
she's a more competent person
I know
that gets that. So
that's
please,
why I'm even surprised.
She's your colleague in
no,
Parliament.
but she's my senior actually.
She's a senior colleague. But I think that one you should withdraw because I don't think it's
okay. If that sounds very offensive, but I'm just telling you that I'm
well, she's a competent.
Not very competent. But
Exactly.
So you are equally competent. But politics
but
to do something.
she's your senior colleague. You can't do anything like this.
Okay, can we?
You are a competent engineer. But politics can let you do things. That
no.
Even some of the arguments you put here, I wonder whether this is like.
Serwaa, I think the basic thing that the minority is asking for is transparency. If it's not coming from the contingency fund, as we are now saying, it comes from the constituency vote, but not the fund. Is that the case?
Yes.
But in the announcement, it was contingency fund that was announced. So if there have been changes, let's be transparent about it. We are talking about transparency.
Money will go.
We are talking about transparency here. Even the money that has been released, how is it going to be disbursed? That one, I don't. If it has been said, I don't know. I haven't seen it yet.
Good. They'll show you. You think we are like you? Even in Accra here, you cook for people on the street.
So people were dying. They will give them food. That's the problem.
So people are dying. We give them.
I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying we have not seen how it's going to be done.
It will be done.
Again, the transparency is lacking. Okay. And that is the only thing that the minority is asking about. And when we are talking about the competency of the Attorney General, I mean, that can be a different story altogether. How do you go and arrest somebody because they were going to take money from a frozen account? And the next day you say it was because the appointment he had was with an, what do you call it? An online appointment. If you are arresting somebody because of an online appointment, why do you then use a false claim that he was taking money from a restricted account? You see, that is deceit.
No,
that should not come from an Attorney General.
Lawyers, yeah.
Let's you're watching the breakfast review. Stay with me. After the break, we will quickly talk about the community service bill that has been passed by Parliament and its implications and advantages. Stay with us.
strength to give me just what I need, and I can feel the whole.
You're welcome back to the show. This is GH Today. I am Serwaa Amihere, and I am here with the Honourable Member of Parliament for Sisala East. Oh, I won't forget that constituency, don't worry. Mohammed Issa Bataglia. Can you pronounce it? Bataglia. Nice name. And Kwame Prempeh is a former deputy CEO for the Public Procurement Authority and a national organizer aspirant. So yesterday, the Community Service Bill was passed by Parliament. This bill, dates as far back as what, 2014? We've been wanting to pass this bill for a very long time. And I do not foresee the president having any issues at all signing this bill into law. Now, the question is, and I'll be very brief on it. We are happy about it, aren't we? Or at least both of you agree on something.
Oh, yes. I mean,
so the passage of this bill, even when it becomes law, is such that there has to be a setting up of a secretariat. Sensitization begins from September 2026, and capacity building goes all through till 2027 or so. When exactly then are we going to see the implementation of the first person being punished under this? It will be close to 2028. That's okay?
Yeah, that's okay. I think that like you said, the actual bill, it was initiated in 2014. 2014.
So, I already know what you want to do there, so it's fine.
Yeah, 2014. That was initiated in 2014. And fast forward, I think we've traveled some years back. Today, we've had it passed by Parliament, waiting for the assent of the President. And we all agree, and the euphoria in town across is that it's a good law, that we think that our prisons are so choked, and some people actually suffering under some conditions just based on minor crimes. And so, as a people would think that once you have been convicted on a minor crime, you should be given the chance to serve in the community. And this has come up. And the president is also saying that the law is providing for us to be able to set up a community, a secretariat, that the community services secretariat, to deal with this. I am sure they are even going to go into this is the broader law, the act. They will go into it to be able to develop the regulations as to how to implement. So all that will have to travel a particular journey. But I'm sure by 2028, everything should be set to be able to start. And that will be good. It's better late than never. And clearly, I think the sentiment has been so good. Even yesterday in Parliament, you could see that across board, everybody think that, this is the way to go. Because we've had that numerous and unending complaints of how choked our prisons are. And even sometimes we get people who go there on the minor issues turning out to become more criminals and more harder criminals in our society. We have the issues about relapse. People think that even based on the treatment they got there, it's better for them to get back there. So they prefer to even commit crime and be taken back there. So we think that all this is because we will making sure that we correct people and making people also create an impact in the society, whilst learning better ways of living is the way to go. And if we have a legislation that will be able to regulate this and govern us as to how to go about it, it's fine. Yes, one would have wished that it will start tomorrow. But even if you take a year to be able to set up it completely, so that everything will be clear, people will understand what to do and which crime should go into what, I think that is the way to go. So I think that I applaud the government once again. I applaud Parliament for making this see the light of day. It has been something we've all waited for. We've seen even lawyers taking upon themselves because our courts are almost choked always. People just on their mind can be there for almost about 4 years without getting the right trials being taking place. So this is a good way to go. And so it's a good thing for Ghana once again. So good things will keep happening, be it legally or even infrastructure development.
Oh,
you have the closing remarks.
His last submission was far from the truth, so it took me aback a little bit. But anyway, I think it's a good thing. I mean, even though they will take some time before it's actually, people will be actually sentenced to community service. But as we are saying, we've traveled a long way. So we are, the last mile. We just have to keep at it and get it done. And as Honorable was saying, it's also serve as a deterrent measure. I mean, people, especially certain people, would not want to be cleaning and doing certain things, in public. So then they will also stop committing these petty crimes, which in itself might look harmless, but in a community setting like that, it can contribute to a larger issue, especially things that we were discussing, throwing the refuse into gutters, these kind of things. It might look a bit harmless in the beginning, but do you put such a person in prison? No, you get them to then clean the gutter that they are choking. These are some things that can help the community. It also helps us reduce even the cost of cleaning, our cities and our society. And also, as Honorable was saying, it's very, very important part of it. Some people go to prison with a very minor crime, and they come back hardened. And if we had a better way of rehabilitating them, they might not have gotten that hardened. And let's not confuse things. The whole thing of punishing, when you go to court, is for rehabilitation, because we don't want crime to continue happening. The idea is that somebody does something wrong, you punish them so that they won't do it again. It's not for you to punish them and then tomorrow they go and do it again. Then our system will be failing. So I think this will help in terms of rehabilitating people for them not to, commit the offenses again, repeat offenders. So I think we must embrace it. But Serwaa, let's also not forget that, prisoners cleaning our streets is not new. Though there are people who have saved their time, and then when they are, I think about a month or so, or maybe 2 months to go out, we put them on the street. I think all of us, we've seen prisoners, on the street cleaning, weeding. It has gone to the point where even some people can go to the prisons and get them to go and work on their farms and all that. So prisoners contributing to the society is not new. But this is for minor offenders to also contribute their quota. Because there are certain offenses where a judge might be reluctant to even send the person to prison. But the community service will be a way out for the person to still be rehabilitated and also pay back to society. So for me, I think it's a good thing, and we must embrace it and wait for it to take effect. And then we'll see how it will be handled. But it's a good thing. It's a thing in the right direction.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, both of you. I'm very grateful for your time. We'll see you again, God willing, next week. I've been here with Kwame Prempeh. He is the former Deputy CEO for the Public Procurement Authority and also a national organizer aspirant. I'm told that when your elections...
Yeah, it's on the 19th of September.
It's on the 19th of September.
Yes.
Are you ready?
Oh, yes.
Have you started campaigning?
Oh, yes. I mean, I've started campaigning and all that, but we are having an election.
You think you'll win?
I know I'll win.
Who are your other contenders?
Oh, they are there. They are there.
I like that. I was hoping that you mention their names. But okay, I wish you the very best.
Thank you so much.
But have you explained your policies to the...
Oh, yes, I've had the opportunity.
Because now they say your party will be in opposition for long.
You see, something beautiful has happened.
What is that?
When the NDC came back to power, right, the mantra was MPP will never come back again.
Mm-hmm.
And then fast forward a few months, MPP will come back in the 2050, 2060. Mm-hmm. Now the mantra is, MPP will stay in 8 years. So it is reducing because of the bad management of the
So country. You think that by next year?
Oh, I'm very convinced that by 2028. By next year, people will be calling for MPP in 2028.
Is it?
Oh, yes.
Okay, but have you also seen comments that even though the NDC might not be performing exactly as they expected, it's not
it's not automatic.
A reason to bring back the MPP?
You see, the mismanagement of NDC is not an automatic re-election of the MPP. We must do our homework. And that is why I'm coming as a national organizer.
But do you think that Ghanaians have forgotten already?
We must remind Ghanaians why certain things were done.
Okay.
And you must remind Ghanaians why those hard decisions has kept the country afloat up until now. And how the NDC is benefiting from the hard decisions.
Are they?
Oh, yes.
It's
benefiting from the hard decisions that the MPP had to take.
Okay.
And of course, already we have apologized for not taking the people along, because there were certain hard decisions that I think, if we had taken the people along, we wouldn't have gotten to where we got to.
Yeah, but there was a lot of allegations of arrogance at the time. You didn't think that they needed to know.
Yeah. Oh, I mean,
Ghanaian people
there
needed to know.
were certain behaviors that I think shouldn't have happened, and these are the things that we apologize for.
So,
Anyway, all the best.
I think my brother, internally, I wish him very well.
But externally, you
externally,
know.
he knows, yes. But even he sitting down here, even he being part of MPP, has not forgotten how they rule Ghana. Can you imagine we the ones who
So
were
you are speaking for me now.
Can you imagine we
you are my
those receiving
spokesperson
end?
now.
Clearly, and this attempt to compare these two parties or two governance systems, I think that is another.
Anyway, that's not the. We are not discussing
cannot.
that. Well, what God has promised for you this moment cannot be put into words. Greater Works 2026 is a heavenly invasion of God's glory and power. Well, this year, powerful speakers, Pastor Matthew Ashimolo, Bishop Tudor Bismarck, Bishop Mike Okonkwo, Pastor Paul Adefarasin, and the conference host, Pastor Mensah Otabil. This year's Greater Works is happening from the 3rd of August to the 7th of August 2026 at the ICGC Christ Temple East. The morning sessions will start Tuesday to Friday, 9 a.m., evening sessions Monday to Friday, 5 p.m. each night. Song ministrations will be from Joe Metal, Once More 6, Nathaniel Bassi, Dun Sin, and the ICGC Mass Choirs. Buses will be available at strategic locations across the city. For more details, visit gwcentral.org. Okay, and if you're looking for quality, affordable dental care, visit GHOne Dental Care Clinic, where they provide comprehensive dental services, including dental examination and consultation, root canal treatment, scaling and polishing, braces, teeth whitening, tooth replacement, dental implants, and much more. They have branches nationwide. In Tamale, they have a branch at Tishegu, opposite the post office near the MTN office. In Accra, Nungwa Main Lorry Station and Atomic Down near Kwabenya Roundabout. Kumasi at the Abrepo Junction near the Bantama High Street. In Techiman, Magazine off Kenten Road. In Aplao, opposite the GCB Bank. In Tamale, again, they have one at, in Takrade. I think it's Tadisco Junction. And in Kuforidia, they have one at the Central Police Station. And in Kumasi, again, at Tunsu, at the High School Junction traffic lights. So, yeah, you know where to go. Thank you so much. Stay with me. After the break, I get to sit with a Justice of the Supreme Court, Sir Dennis. Don't miss it. You're welcome back to the show. This is GH Today. I am Serwaa Amihere. This morning, I get a very rare opportunity to speak with a legal luminary, a man that, well, many of us looked up to. If you're a lawyer, if you're a law student, you definitely would have had some stint with my guests, either personally, either through his books, either in the courtroom, some way, somehow. You definitely must have read or heard about my guests. This morning, I'm seated with Sir Justice Dennis Dominic AJ. He has done so many things. I don't even know where to start from because I want to read his profile, but that will mean it will take up the entire interview time. So I'm going to try and make it very brief. He's a justice, first of all, of the Supreme Court of Ghana. He's a former judge at the African Court on Human and People's Rights. He's a former director of the Judicial Training Institute. He's a criminal law scholar. He's a Catholic Knight of the Order of St. Gregory the Great. And on and on and on and on. Sir Dennis has authored 6 textbooks. Is there more?
8.
Now 8. There's Constitutional Law of Ghana. There's Modern Approach to the Law of Interpretation in Ghana. That's what I used to write my exam, by the way. There's Criminal Procedure and Practice in Ghana. Land Law Practice and Conveyancing in Ghana. Contemporary Criminal Law in Ghana. And the Essential Laws on Credit Creation and Registration of Security Interest. Which other ones, Sir Dennis?
Then International Human Rights, which was adult about 5 months ago, not long ago.
Right, okay.
It's close to 1,000 pages.
Oh, wow. That's 5. That's 7. What's the 8th one?
Then I co-authored with my sister, Justice Barbara Akayunsu, Alternative Dispute Resolution from Ghanaian perspective.
Right. Is there any part of the Ghanaian law or the law that you do not know?
We continue to learn.
You continue. Thank you so much.
And you said that I was a former judge of the... I'm still a judge of the African Court.
Right.
I'm left with 2 more years.
2 more years?
Yes.
Oh, forgive me, please. Thank you so much for coming on my show this morning, for this honor. I am very grateful. Sir Dennis was born as far back as 1964, but he looks nothing like it. He has gone through the ranks, like I said. He was called to the Ghana Bar in 1993 after completing studies at the Ghana School of Law. I was 3 years at the time, by the way.
Good.
He opened the Holy Spirit Chambers in Kumasi and practiced at the bar before joining the bench. As for his academic records, well, it's a lot, and we may not be able to go into all of that. But once again, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Today, Sir Dennis is here because the Supreme Court is 150 years. It's the only time that I will get to interview Sir Dennis. And so thank you to the Judicial Service for making this possible. Now, the anniversary theme for this year is honoring the past, celebrating the present, and defining the future. Before we get into the Supreme Court at 150, I just want to know briefly about the man before the robe, Sir Dennis. So I know that you grew up in Kumasi.
Yes.
You had your chambers in Kumasi.
That is so. Holy Trinity Chambers.
Holy Trinity Chambers in Kumasi. Yes. And you had a very successful career, as a practitioner in Kumasi.
You are right.
Before joining the bench and all of the work that you have done, both locally and internationally, at what point did you know that the law was for you?
Just by the way, I was 16 years on the bench 3 days ago.
Oh, congratulations.
Yes, thank you. Well, when I was in sixth form, I knew some few lawyers, and one of them was my uncle. So I aspired to be a lawyer.
Okay.
But that time I was a stammerer.
Oh.
Yes, so I have to manage. People... some people will tell me because I was a stammerer, but by God's grace, I was able to do therapy and overcome it. So I decided to become a lawyer. I was enrolled at the Ghana School, University of Ghana. Then from there to the Ghana School of Law, I practiced law. Then I did some few education to develop myself. Yes. So if you look at my CV, you see that I have a postgraduate certificate, diploma, and Master of Laws in Criminology, Criminal Justice and Criminal Law from UK. Then in the US too, I did Master in Judicial Studies, that is basically interpretation and jurisprudence.
You wear so many hats. How do you do all of that? You're a scholar, you're a jurist, you're a professor, because you lecture as well. I didn't get the opportunity of being lectured by you, but I used your books. So how do you manage all of that?
It's about time management. You know that you have a schedule.
And you're a family man as well.
Yes, I'm a family man with 5 children.
Oh.
Yes. So if you have a load and you want to offload, you must know how to manage your time. You know, today I was told I should be here by 8. I was here by 7:20. And I've told you that from here, I'm going to supervise examination.
Right.
So I will go. And when they are writing the examination, I will go with my book so that I'll be in the office, do some work. After an hour and a half, I will go around to see if they are still writing. Then I'll come back because I don't waste time. Any little time that I get, I make full use of it. Going out for 3-4 hours, I will not get time for those things. Apart from my church activities. For my church activities, irrespective of the time, I will. But apart from that one, I make sure that what is supposed to be done must be done and done well by me.
So you have no social life?
Oh, I've been a chorister. I love singing. So even now that I cannot sing, I'm still...
Why can't you sing?
Because of my schedule, the movement.
Oh,
you
right.
may not attend some of the choir practices.
Okay.
But as patrons, occasionally, I go to choir practice to sit there. You know, that is my interest. And my other interest is reading and writing. And reading and writing, always have the opportunity to read and write. Because if you read, it helps you to understand things that are beyond you. And if you write, it improves upon your proficiency. So that is why I have my hobbies as music, writing, and reading. And you know, I'm interested in cartoons. Every cartoon I watch, irrespective of whether it is for children, whatever, I enjoyed it.
That's nice.
Yes.
Okay. These are the things that you spend your time
You are right.
doing. I see. I'll be learning from you. But, you know, now I'll come back to your personal life, you know, soon. But are your kids lawyers too?
The first one is a lawyer. The second one is engineer. The third one has completed business administration. The fourth one is reading law, level 300. And the girl among them is reading mining engineering.
Okay. Is your wife a lawyer too?
She's not a lawyer.
Okay.
She works with the Ghana Revenue Authority.
Okay. Okay. Now, let's talk about why you're here, the Supreme Court at 150. You know, this conversation we have to try and make, I know you're a scholar and a professor and all that, but let's try and make it as relatable as possible the ordinary Ghanaian.
I will.
Many Ghanaians hear Supreme Court, and you know, for lawyers, politicians, they have a very fair idea what the Supreme Court is and what it does. But for the ordinary Ghanaian, it may sound very distant. What is the Supreme Court and what does it do?
As at now, if you ask me, what is the Supreme Court? Supreme Court is the apex court in Ghana. That is, its decision is final and binding on every person, every court. Even though its decision is normally binding on the Supreme Court itself, it may depart when it is just for it to do so. That means the court is not sacrosanct. If the court has delivered a judgment and circumstances have changed, time, development, and there is the need to move forward and to depart, the court has the power to do so. So when we talk about the Supreme Court, we are talking about a court, Supreme Court of Ghana, because if you talk about Supreme Court, it varies from one country to the other.
Yeah.
This morning I said that if you go to Australia, the highest court is the High Court.
Right.
You start the Superior Court, you start from the Supreme Court and High Court. Then if you go to Brazil, the same thing. But if you are in Ghana, we start from the lower courts. And our lower courts, we have the district courts, the juvenile courts, then the circuit court, then the High Court, Court of Appeal, and Supreme Court and the regional tribunals. The regional tribunals are still part of the law because Article 126 says that we have the Superior Court of Judicature and we have the Supreme Court, Court of Appeal, the High Court, and regional tribunals. So these are the courts. And the Supreme Court in Ghana is unique. It is unique because in terms of appeal, it is the final court. Once you start and you go to the Supreme Court, a decision is rendered, it ends there. There's no other forum for you to go. That is for appeal. Then there are cases that you start from the Supreme Court and it ends there. For example, when it comes to interpretation or enforcement of the Constitution. Let me talk about the enforcement. When prisoners were not given the opportunity to vote, even though voting is a human right. Then somebody will ask you, why should voting be a human right? Voting is a right because it helps you to determine who should govern you. Self-determination. And it is in our constitution, the misleading is that if you look at it, it is in Article 42, which is outside Article 5. But it is a human right because Ghana is a signatory to the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, as well as the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. Okay. And self-determination is a fundamental human right. Now, so here, the Supreme Court has the opportunity to determine case writ will be filed for Supreme Court to determine whether an act or omission is in consonance with the Constitution. As I always say, the Supreme Court is the referee for the Constitution of Ghana. Because if you think that something is inconsistent with the Constitution, you must go to the Supreme Court for the Supreme Court to determine. Then when you talk about presidential election dispute, in Ghana, our law says that it shall be the Supreme Court, unlike Nigeria, where you start from the Court of Appeal. So it depends on the country. Now, apart from the presidential election dispute, when it comes to the production of official document, whether its disclosure will be injurious to the security of the state. In that sense, it is the Supreme Court that has the power to determine whether to give it out or not to give it out. Then when it comes to the unique jurisdiction, the whole world, Ghana is the first country in which the Supreme Court was vested with supervisory powers. Because in all countries, the supervisory powers are exercised by the High Court over the lower courts and lower adjudicating bodies. But in Ghana in 1969, the drafters of the Constitution decided to give supervisory jurisdiction to the Supreme Court. So in the whole world, there are only 3 countries that the Apex Court exercises supervisory jurisdiction. We have Ghana, Sierra Leone, and Philippines. So the supervisory powers, it helps the Supreme Court to monitor the activities of the Court of Appeal, High Court, Circuit Court, District Court. But at times, when you say that the Supreme Court has the power to supervise the District Court, then somebody will tell you, what about Article 141, which gives supervisory jurisdiction to the High Court? Yes, High Court. But when it comes to some areas that the High Court cannot, for example, if District Court is interpreting Constitution, that jurisdiction is exclusively given to the Supreme Court. Can the High Court say that the District Court is interpreting or not interpreting? So in that sense, he cannot, and therefore, it is the Supreme Court that will supervise. So it is unique, and we talk about mandamus, where a public official is required to perform constitutional or statutory duty, and that person or body fails to perform. We issue mandamus to compel the person to perform. Then the same supervisory, we have certiorari. We quash where a case was heard in breach of natural justice, you heard without the other side, or where you had interest in the matter, you did not disclose, and it was heard. The Supreme Court, when it comes to its notice, it will quash. Then habeas corpus produce the body of the person who has been detained by a security agency. All of them, the High Court and the Supreme Court. The High Court has in almost every jurisdiction. But for us, even though the High Court has that jurisdiction, it has not ousted that of the Supreme Court in certain circumstances.
Okay. Let's go back to when the establishment of the Supreme Court, 1876, up until today.
Good.
Walk us through how it all happened very, very quickly.
Good. The beginning of everything is a humble beginning. So when the Supreme Court was established, they had the magistrate court. Ghana, we don't have magistrate court. We have district court now. But at that time, they had the magistrate courts. Then, so when it was established, it was to have original and appellate jurisdiction. Original means you can go there and start a case.
Right.
Appellate means it will hear a case from the magistrate. So it heard cases from the magistrate. So that one, it was the court, when it was hearing original, it was one. But appeal, there were 3 judges. And if you were dissatisfied with their decision, you appeal to the Privy Council then. Then subsequently, it was decided that we should have regional courts to have appellate jurisdiction. That brought in the West African Court of Appeal, WACA. So when WACA came in, the position was that it was to act as a filter. It is not every case that is decided by the Supreme Court then that should go to the Privy Council, except where you can demonstrate that it was of constitutional nature or it is a dispute, but the amount involved is quite substantial. Then that one, you bypass WACA and go to the Privy Council.
Okay.
Apart from this, in all other cases, then you go to the WACA. But in 1957, when we attained independence, we dealt away with WACA. Then in 1960, 1st July, when we attained Republican status, we dispensed with Privy Council. So the Supreme Court then became the highest court in Ghana. So since 1960, Supreme Court has become the apex court. Its decision is final and binding on every court in the country.
Beyond, Chief Justices, who are some of the people who have shaped, our Supreme Court here in Ghana?
When we talk about those shaping the courts, we are talking about the Chief Justice, the judges, because the judges, they will sit with Chief Justice to determine matters, because Chief Justice is a member of the court. So we talk about them. And at times we think that it is only the judges, but the judges, we are held by lawyers. Some lawyers will come and make very, very good submissions that will help you to read, to broaden what you know about the subject matter that is before you. And we cannot work alone. We work with our staff. So all of them help. But at the end of the day, the decisions are written and delivered by the judges as the judgment of the courts.
Okay, let's talk about the role of the Supreme Court and democracy. The Supreme Court has been seen as a guardian of democracy. But for many Ghanaians, democracy simply means voting. Help us understand the role that the Supreme Court has played in shaping and preserving our democracy.
When we talk about democracy, it is not limited to only voting. No. Democracy talks about how people may exercise their rights. We talk about rights, limitations. At times people think it is about catalog of powers. No. It is about rights and limitations. Okay. You can do this, but there's a limitation. Don't do that. Don't do that. So here we talk about self-determination. Ghana, we have the right to govern ourselves. And if you have to govern yourself, you need Electoral Commission as an independent umpire. Electoral Commission may conduct elections, then come out with results. If presidential election is held and Electoral Commission declares somebody a winner, somebody may be dissatisfied.
Right.
And the law says that if you are dissatisfied, you may go to the Supreme Court. The free access is there. So the person will go to the Supreme Court for the Supreme Court to make a determination. So the Supreme Court will get the opportunity to hear the matter and expand our appreciation of democracy. And based on that, the Supreme Court decision will be binding on everybody, and it will serve as an inspirational decision. Because whenever we need something, we'll go and read about it. And when we write judgments, we don't limit ourselves to what we have only in Ghana. We go all over the world to get decisions to persuade us. They do not bind us, just to persuade ourselves. Because when we are talking about our constitution, we say that our constitution is still generous, meaning it is unique for Ghanaians. It is not unique for Togolese, not unique for Nigerians. It is unique for we Ghanaians. So when we talk about the Supreme Court democracy, it has determined the right to vote. And apart from that one, presidential election dispute, it has done several of them. At least we have 2013, that is the 2012, which decision was rendered in 2013 and 2020. And, when judgments are delivered, the beauty about it is that Some people may not be happy. Others may explain to them. That means you are propagating the principles of democracy.
Right.
Because if you don't read the judgments, you may not even understand. And every decision of a court that affects a right or liability must be supported by reasoning. So the Supreme Court will not deliver a judgment without explaining itself. That is the reasoning to be delivered by the court. And all of them help to develop democracy. You know, even though we talk about some intolerance in the country, because at times Supreme Court may deliver a judgment. Somebody who has never been to court may decide to sit as an appellate judge over the Supreme Court to criticize the decision. Somebody like me, you know, I just laugh.
Right.
Yes, because
how that. Speaking of that, I mean, how does it feel to know that you have given a decision and it's a whole topic of, and like you said, someone who has probably never been to courts sits, analyzes, and to some extent even insults judges for those decisions?
You know, for me, my position is that I write. And once you write as an author, so at times people may not agree with you.
Right.
Yes. So if you deliver a judgment and you think that that is your best and your understanding of the law at that time, irrespective of what the person may say, you consider the person as not understanding the law. Because what people think is that in Ghana, we have laws for parties. We have MPP laws, we have NDC laws, we have CP, but we have only the laws of Ghana. And the judges, we are guardians and bastions of the laws of Ghana. So whatever we decide, and you know, we don't do it unilaterally. We conference, we decide at the end of the day. At times you'll get unanimity. All of us may agree.
Okay.
At times too, we will not agree. So that shows that a lot of things go in before judgment of the court is rendered. So when we talk about the Supreme Court developing democracy, let's look at Article 1. Let's start from even Article 1. Article 1 will tell you that the people of Ghana, we the people of Ghana, we have adopted this constitution to promote our welfare. Then Article 1(2) will follow to tell you that the constitution shall be the supreme law. Any law that is inconsistent with the constitution shall be declared void. Which body is clothed with that jurisdiction? Then it takes you to Article 2. Then it tells you the role of the Supreme Court in deepening democracy. So that is one of the about 8 functions of the Supreme Court.
You know, speaking of elections, which we just moved away from, the Supreme Court has resolved 2 presidential election petitions. Right. Ghanaians watched. In fact, I can say that almost 80% of Ghanaians watched every day. It was live, telecasted live. I want us to now talk about the relationship, you know, and how Ghanaians perceive the courts and the judiciary. These 2 cases really did a lot of shaping, you know, the mindsets of Ghanaians about you, the Supreme Court judges especially. Would you say that it was a good thing? It was, because, you know, if a case is heard, and a case such as the presidential election dispute, and access is granted to everybody to watch on media, either social, either TV, whatever, you know, it helps them. And another thing that people do not observe is that when judges we sit in public, we also undergo tests, because if you don't have comportment, people say, oh, this judge, is that how he behaves? So if we determine presidential election disputes and it is broadcast, it helps us, it helps the people, because at times some of the people even ask. A friend of mine in secondary school told me that he had never come across any Supreme Court judge. But that will give him the opportunity to see other Supreme Court judges. And you see the Supreme Court judges and how they raise objections, how they rule, and at the end of the day, how they deliver their judgment. So the myth surrounding the judiciary should be dissolved. The myth should be dissolved, because it is an institution established by the people of Ghana. If you go to Article 125 of the Constitution, it says that the
the power belongs to the citizenry, and the citizenry have decided to cede that power, their judicial power, to the judiciary to administer on their behalf. And therefore, we are accountable to the people of Ghana. So when we are adjudicating, and it is live, it is form of accounting that we do to the people of Ghana who have given us that mandate to represent them in adjudication.
Beyond these presidential election petitions, what are some of the landmark cases? I mean, I know that there are so many landmark cases from the Supreme Court, but the very distinct ones that have stood out and have shaped, public policy, even strengthened our democracy, strengthened us as a people. Does any of those cases readily come to mind?
Oh, yes, we have several of them.
Which ones stand out for you?
For me, the cases on voting, the right to vote, and whether we should use voters' ID card or thumbprint, all those things help that some people who were to be disenfranchised were given the opportunity to vote. So, to me, those cases are very, very important. Then, the cases that determines how interpretation should be done.
Right.
Because we are championing justice, and we are creating path for our future generation to know how they should move. And therefore, we must set down the clear parameters as to what matters that the Supreme Court can exercise for the purposes of interpretation.
Right.
Because is it any flimsy case that you go to the Supreme Court? No. Then the answer is no. The 4 parameters, that where it is clear, where it is unclear, ambiguous, imprecise, vague, you can go. Or there's a provision where 2 parties are putting different meanings. Or where there is a constitutional provision and they are in conflict. So, and the last one where a body has been set by the Constitution, but its application becomes impracticable. So now these are the parameters. So if you are going to the Supreme Court and your case falls outside any of these 4, then it is hopeless. That matter is not a matter that you can go. Then for enforcement, most of the provisions in the constitutions are dormant. Nobody is taking any action on them. But if an enforcement jurisdiction is invoked, it empowers the Supreme Court to make decisive decisions. So to me, when we are talking about the importance of Supreme Court, apart from the presidential election dispute, you must know your rights. Then the wrongs in the system. For example, if you look at the Chieftaincy Act, Section 631D, when Parliament conferred on chiefs, that if you are invited by a chief and you willfully refuse to honor, it was a criminal offense. But the question is, we respect chiefs, all right, but they are private persons. So why should a private person, why should we criminalize
a person's refusal to honor a chief's invitation?
Yes. So that's why you talk about a GHOne
yes.
against the National House of Chiefs and the Attorney General. Then one celebrated case that people are not taking account of is a GHOne against AMA and Attorney General, where you saw people carrying nice soil.
Yes.
Nice soil.
The toilets.
Head pans.
Yeah.
In my town, there was one popular man, Domiri. Every morning you will see him, and if you dare insulted him, he will come and dump the whole waste in your house. Now, if you look at when Nana GHOne went to the Supreme Court, that it is an affront to human dignity. It is against our fundamental human rights. And therefore, something should be done. Now we don't see anybody carrying nice soil. So that one is one of the celebrated cases in Ghana. But because it did not affect many people, they think that it is always about election. But we have other equally important cases that have been determined by the Supreme Court.
Okay. I've been prompted about the time, but Sir Dennis, if you please grant me just a little bit more time. I know that you have to go, but I'll be very quick about it. But I want us to, you talked about some of the myths around the courts, the judiciary. Let's look at some of them. Okay. There's a myth that the courts are only for the rich, those who can afford it, because justice delivery and the justice system is so expensive. And you speak to the average Ghanaian and they say minisika me debe court. So famenyame, as we like to call it. Is that what it is?
No, it is not. Let me start with criminal cases.
Okay.
Criminal cases, accused person doesn't pay anything. Accused person does not pay anything. Even if judgment is delivered against you and you want the proceedings, the law says it shall be made available to you within 6 months free of charge. So criminal case...
Accused persons or the victims?
The accused person,
Okay.
if you are appealing.
Okay, right.
Yes, you have the right of appeal. You don't pay anything.
But you pay your lawyer. You say you need money to get a good lawyer.
You know, that is the essence of legal aid.
Okay.
If you cannot afford, it is not everybody. But even lawyers are enjoined to conduct free bono cases. Is it 2008 or 2009 bar conference? It was the topic that was discussed, that every lawyer must assist free of charge. You must conduct at least a number of cases a year free of charge. So if somebody is involved in a criminal matter and you think that the person has a good case on appeal and you are a lawyer, it behoves on you to do it free of charge, whether the person has money or not. And that is the essence of legal aid too. So from the criminal point of view, appeals, record of appeal, you don't pay anything.
Right.
It is free of charge.
Okay.
Let's come to civil. Civil, you pay for the filing fees. But the filing fees is dependent on the relief that you are seeking from the court. If you go to court and somebody owes you 20,000 Ghana cedis, how much fee are you going to pay? It is just negligible. But if somebody owes you 10 million Ghana cedis, then you must pay an amount that commensurate. Even that one, how much do you pay? It is just a fraction. Was it yesterday? Somebody asked me, why should we ask people to pay estate duty when somebody dies? And the person thought it was 10%. I said, estate duty is just 3% when somebody dies, because the beneficiaries, the property is not for you. The properties are not for you. You are coming to benefit. And therefore, pay tax. It is like gift. If now I give you a car, I give you something, you must pay gift tax because it has been given to you freely, and you must pay tax on the gift.
Right.
So if you go to court and people think about the fact that it is very expensive, it is not very expensive. The filing fees are moderate. The problem that we have now is when it comes to the comparison of appeal records. When we are comparing appeal records in civil, some of them, you get about 8 volumes, 10 volumes. It is the lawyers and their parties who conducted that case. And if you are going to the Court of Appeal, you need 4 of them, 3 for the judges and 1 on file. If you are coming to the Supreme Court, you need minimum of 7. You must produce them because it is your own case.
Right.
And that's one, you shouldn't expect the state to come and fund your litigation for you. But those who are indigent, illiterate, they are just peasant farmers and peasant fishermen. And those whose income is just meager. That is the essence of the legal aid. We have the Legal Aid Commission. They can go there, seek assistance. They provide free legal aid. And if a case is being handled by the legal aid, you are not supposed to pay filing fee. Yes, because it must be embossed on it that it is from the legal aid, and you don't pay any filing fees. But if you earn income and you are filing the process, then why shouldn't you pay the appropriate filing fees?
Okay, so basically it's not expensive.
It is not expensive.
It's not expensive.
It is not.
There's also another perception that judges, especially Supreme Court judges, are politically aligned, and that who appointed you determines how you rule. I'm sure that you have heard this.
Oh, we've heard it. I've heard it
all the time.
I'll be a liar if I say that I haven't
There
heard.
was even there was a time that there was a term that was coined for the Supreme Court, unanimous FC, and who appoints you determines how you rule.
Let me tell you one thing. I've been on the bench for 16 years. 16 years, 3 days at the Superior Court. No politician has ever called me in respect of a matter before me. And even Court of Appeal, I determined several important cases. Let my vote count, several important cases at the Court of Appeal. I sat and wrote judgments in respect of them, but nobody has ever called me.
Can you speak for the other judges?
So if nobody has called me, then I presume that nobody has called any other person. Because if they haven't called me, why should I think that they haven't called me, but but they will call my brother.
Maybe they didn't call you, but you subconsciously, you know that it was this government or this president that appointed you. So when there are cases which will be of interest to that government, you rule in that favor. There's that perception.
Yes, but it is the duty of president to appoint whenever there are vacancies.
Right.
And the fact that you are appointing does not mean that the person is becoming an appendage to your party. You know, that is why we take the 3 oaths. We take oath of office, oath of secrecy, then judicial oath to do justice to all manner of persons. So if you are sitting, we are not judges, and we are not politicians, and we are not supposed to wear political hats. So as a judge, if you are sitting, you must do your work according to the law. Because why should you sit down for a politician to tell you do this and you do? Then in that sense, you have abdicated your role as a judge and has given it to that politician. So to me, the fact that people always say that it is the government, but you know, it depends on the case that will come to court. If the government loses, they don't talk. It is the government that is annoyed. But if those who came to court, they lose, then they say that, hey, because it was the government that appointed them. The question is, have they examined the reasons supporting that judgment? In most cases, they don't read. They use emotional morality without looking at the decision. So you can fault a judge based on his decision and reasoning and not what you think. Because somebody may think that this is how it should go. And you ask the person, what is the basis? For me, that is my understanding. And we are not there to determine matters according to people's conscience. We are determining matters in accordance with law and policy. So if people think that because you appointed me to the Court of Appeal, you appointed me to the Supreme Court, you can manipulate me. Nobody has ever approached me. So once nobody has ever approached me, and subconsciously I know that I must do what is right in accordance with the law. Because if you look at our theme, we are celebrating now. What about the future? You know, it is 3-leg. Mm-hmm. So if we are not doing what is right, can we define the future? So we are doing what is right. That is why we are defining the future for our future generation.
Okay. There's also another perception that, you know, people are able to pay their way through to get the kind of decisions that they want because the judiciary or the bench does not pay.
The bench does not pay. We earn income at the end of the month. And some of us, we think that what we earn is enough to cater for us and our families. So if you think that judiciary does not pay and you want to be in practice, nothing prevents you from going back to private practice. For me, what is given to us is enough. But assuming that what we are given is not enough, should that entitle you to do what is wrong? Because we as judges, we sit on adjudication, we convict people for stealing, corruption. But if you think that you are also corrupt, how can you do justice when a matter of corruption is brought before you? So to me, my position is that no judge will say that because of the salary, I want to be corrupted. I don't think it will ever happen. And you know, judges, we are governed by a host of things. First and foremost, the code of conduct in the Constitution. That part governs us. Then we are also governed by the code of conduct for judges and magistrates. Then we have international principles, the Latimer House principles. Then we have Bangalore principles. Mm-hmm. All of them regulate our conduct. So if you breach any one of them, they can remove you from the bench. It will amount to misconduct, stated misconduct. So to me, those allegations, to me, it is unfounded.
Okay. There's also a complaint that has lingered on for years. Delays at the courts. I am aware of cases that have gone up to 20 years, 22 years. And it demotivates people from pursuing cases at the courts. What exactly is the problem? And in this whole celebration and reflective and planning for the future period, what are we doing to ensure that, you know, these delays become a thing of the past eventually? You
know, delays even offense fair trial principles.
Right.
fair trial principles provide that cases must be heard expeditiously. So in the African court, when we determine cases and somebody comes to the African court to say that a matter was pending in the country, it took them about 12 years. We hold that country accountable. So what we normally do is that now, if you look at it, the Chief Justice has asked some of the Court of Appeal judges to sit in the afternoon as additional High Court judges, because the bulk of the cases are in the High Court. That is why the Chief Justice has done that to offload some of the cases that had inundated the High Court judges. So now the Court of Appeal judges are helping them to dispose of those cases. They sit in the afternoon. In addition to that, we are introducing electronic system, electronic firing, e-firing. All of them will help to compress the time for adjudication. But at times you hear people saying that I've been to court for 3 months, the case has not been heard. Please, that one, it is unacceptable. Because the law says that if you are going to circuit court or high court, you start with pleadings. And we are regulated by laws. So the 3 months, you had not even taken application for directions. So that's why you cannot count it as delay. But the delays, at times, even though we accuse the court, yes, we must admit, some of them come from the parties, others from the lawyers, all the stakeholders. We also contribute. So that is why the Chief Justice is saying that now let's develop the AI. We are going to use AI, but AI is a good servant, but a dangerous master when it comes to adjudication. So we are going to learn how to manage AI in our case management and adjudication. So now it is being promoted. Then the number of cases that are brought before just one particular judge, if you see that it is huge, then we must find a means to send them to transfer some of them to other courts. Now, when we come to the Court of Appeal, from High Court to Court of Appeal, that's where we have problems, and from Court of Appeal to the Supreme. It is about the record of appeal. Some of them are bulky. Some of them you see about 10 volumes, 12 volumes. You must type all of them. The cost implication. When the party is told to come and pay a deposit, at times it may take them some years, some months, because of the cost implications in producing their own records for them. So, where I think that at the end of the day, we cannot completely do away with delays, but we can manage it to make it acceptable.
Okay. 3 more questions, then I can let you go. 3.
My students will beat me today.
I know, 3. Just 3. I want to quickly pick your thoughts on certain issues that have been very topical, in the country. Then I can say goodbye to you, even though I wish I could get more time. First of all, is the issue of spousal property. I'm sure that you have monitored, the news, you have seen the many discussions that have gone on. I know that there have been several decisions, from the courts on how spousal property should be shared. We have evolved from 1950 up until now. In your view, what do you think should be, how should it be administered, spousal property, when there's a divorce?
This year or
2025.
Last year, we delivered
Yes.
a judgment.
Yes.
My brother Akabuafo wrote the lead, and I wrote concurring. For me, I think that we should not use personal vendetta. We should not use our emotions to fight for properties. We must do what is right. And when a law says equality is equity, we must appreciate it. If I have brought 100, you have brought 0, then we are saying that equality is equity, and therefore we should make it 50-50. It defeats the equity principles. It doesn't say so. So what the law says is that we are talking about your contribution, my contribution. Some of the contribution may be in cash, others may be in kind, and services rendered. For example, if you live with your husband and you are unemployed, but you keep the home tidy, you look after children, without you, the man cannot go to work. So that was what the English people used to say, watchtail versus watchtail. The cock must feather the nest. So the hen will be at home. Then you feather the nest. But if we are doing justice, we must always have in mind that we must talk about contribution either in cash or in kind. So assuming that somebody marries me, and at the time we got married, I had a house which had been roofed, and there is divorce, and you say that we should share it 50-50, would that be fair? No, because the law says...
But Sir Dennis, do you also appreciate that there are cases where people have been married, and as a result of the marriage, especially the women, have nothing to do. They have nothing to their name. They don't work. They spend all of their time taking care of the family and taking care of the children. In the case of a divorce, because they didn't contribute anything financially, does that mean that they don't get to walk away?
If the property was acquired before I married you, or you married me and you had property, I will not be entitled to any part if it was acquired before marriage. Because look at the Constitution. It says property jointly acquired during marriage. It doesn't say before marriage. So if before marriage I had a house, then I've married you, and we couldn't acquire any other thing, and there is we dissolved the marriage. Are you coming to say that because I had the property before you married me, we should share?
But for the ones that were acquired during...
Yes. If they were acquired during... And what we fail to appreciate is that whenever we say property acquired during marriage, the Constitution itself does not say so. The Constitution itself says that property jointly acquired during marriage. The word joint is there. But people omit the joint. How can you omit the joint and talk about acquisition? So we marry the two. And as I said, contribution does not only mean financial, taking care of children, cleaning, laundry, we quantify all these things. And at the end of the day, if you think that it merits 50-50, we will give. But to say that I have married and therefore I've married my wife, assuming my wife has a house or two houses, then within 6 months I'm seeking for divorce and I'm saying that give me one of the houses. Would that be fair? She acquired those houses before we met. So in that sense, it will be unconscionable and unfair. So the basic principle is that we are not being honest to the language of the Constitution. We are not being honest to the language as provided in the Land Act, Section 39. It says that property jointly acquired during marriage. So we talk about those properties that exclude properties that were acquired before the marriage. Then we are going to look at during the marriage, what were the properties that were acquired? If we have, then we shall look at it and give a reasonable amount to those who are entitled. For example, now men too are taking advantage. If I see that you are wealthy, a woman, you are a lawyer, you are this, and you have properties, I'll come and marry you. Then in a year's time, I will seek divorce. And I'm saying that you have these properties, let's share. So when people talk about spousal, they think that it is always about a man or a man. No. Now, women are career. They are acquiring properties. So we must ensure that we don't use just gender sensitivity to decide on matters. We must look at issues objectively and treat them.
Okay. Another question is on Galamsey, the role of the judiciary in fighting Galamsey. There's a perception that not a single person has been jailed from Galamsey activities, and it does not serve as deterrent enough for people. We only hear 10 people have been arrested, 20 people have been arrested, but we haven't seen anyone being jailed. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, because nowadays I'm not always in Ghana, and I'm no more the director of JTI. When I was the director for JTI, let me tell you one incident that happened. Yes, there was a case at Takwa. Some people were involved in illegal mining. They were arrested. They were sent before the court. They were convicted, and they were given and they were fined. And when it came up, they were agitating, and we investigated. The charge that was preferred against those illegal miners was trespass and not offense under the Mining Act. So if you have brought a case of trespass against somebody, then I must look at the law and impose appropriate sentence.
Right.
So if we are talking about illegal mining and there's a law and we have courts and the Chief Justice has set up special courts to deal with those cases. So if you have these cases and you bring the cases, as I said from the beginning, when we are hearing cases, in criminal cases, the burden is on the prosecution and the proof is beyond reasonable doubt. You are saying that the person has been involved in illegal mining. You have brought the person to court. You must adduce evidence. It is not the duty of the court to make inference. We cannot make inference. So when a person is arrested and the person is being arraigned before the court, those who arrested the person must come to court and give evidence. Without that one, the person will come to court, and at the end of the day, what will be the evidence to be used against the person? And as you know, we live on evidence and nothing than evidence.
And we have not been able to do that yet.
Yes, because if there is no such thing, they cannot. Because assuming there is, and the decision goes against the state has the right to appeal.
Okay. Now, yesterday, the community sentencing service bill was passed.
Yes.
I don't know what you make of that.
Well, as a criminologist, I'm happy.
Okay.
Because it is not every offense that a person must be imprisoned. Because somebody has stolen a bunch of plantain. The person has stolen 100 Ghana cedis. He did not rob, but you see that the person did it out of frustration or out of hunger. And you go and imprison the person 10 years, 15 years, and you use the state's fund to look after the person. Whereas you can ask the person to either do something in the community. Because that one is more, even though some human rights people are against it, because if you ask somebody to sweep, to weed in public, but all the same, to me, it is a joy because some people are not supposed to be there. They are supposed to be outside. So if the community bill has been passed and now minor offenses, people are going to be dealt with leniently and they will do community work, it is all joy. But it does not include serious offenses.
Right.
Yes.
Finally, as a teacher of the law, a professor of the law, there's a law in the LI 2423 that prohibits lawyers from speaking about cases that are pending in court. But I know that you have monitored how some lawyers immediately come out of court, grant interviews, tell everything that happened in court, make prejudicial statements. Is this something that the bench has taken note of?
We must stop because there are two things involved. The first one, it is unethical. The lawyer who is involved can be arraigned before the disciplinary committee of the General Legal Council. That is one thing. Then the second one, if you make any statement that undermines the authority of the court, it is contempt of court. And that is what we call the criminal contempt. The court can deal with you. But if such a case is brought and you deal with the person, they say that, that person is always on TV educating people. It is not about you on TV educating people. It is your comments, are they prejudicial? Are they undermining administration of justice? So if there is, then it will amount to criminal contempt. And under such circumstances, we expect Attorney General to hold them before the appropriate court for them to be dealt with.
Thank you so much for coming on the show and for this honor. Sir Justice Dennis Dobnike J. is a justice of the Supreme Court of Ghana. He's a judge at the African Court on Human and People's Rights. He's a former director for the Judicial Training Institute. He's a criminal law scholar, a Catholic Knight of the Order of St. Gregory the Great, and it goes on and on and on. Thank you so much for coming on my show. I'm grateful. Stay with me after the break. There's more.